Whole paper of that DV train.
Okay, some Tammy, and we're missing Chief. Comes in and you about that coming? She says she won't be here.
Something to do with that. She came in while you were gone. I understand to be there. And Dan's on vacation.
As long as she tells me.
Dan's on vacation.
Where's his chair?
He's on vacation.
Don't have the nameplates in front either. I'm not going to go up and out of the planning board. That's what I'm going to put catch up. I got to get this thing done. I'll never get any work out of them again, and it's really good to get rid of. Trouble is, it's all over. It's 5 minutes off. Oh, no, no. Maybe I'll be glad. You don't bite me, right? No. For sure. Okay.
Yep.
I have seen it. Sure what the status on that was. Because it's dated the day before, or a couple of days before I asked me, so I wasn't sure if anybody had actually talked about it with the last meeting.
No, we didn't have this.
Okay.
It was dated, but we didn't receive it before the meeting.
I'll ask her.
No discussion.
After we're done with the other presentations.
I did that.
Go straight to that.
Don't get thrown out of order.
Pardon me?
Order them not to get thrown out of here for being out of order.
Yeah, there you go. No.
You keep bumming it around here.
You know, a minute ago you said it was against your religion to move while Dick was doing the blinds up there, and then you moved.
Yeah, well,
after he did all that work.
Undo it.
You are a problem, Joe.
Ask my wife, she'll tell you. Yeah, you moved it to flip-flop. She'll tell you. Big problem.
Like, come on down.
No, my light's still on. Look at that. Sorry. I'll get you my hair.
Well, that clock is a little slow.
What does your Mickey Mouse say?
And Mickey Mouse doesn't say anything, but this one here says it's after 7, so I'm going to start the meeting.
It says 7:03.
That's probably about right. That's what I've got here, so you're going to split the difference. Call it 7 o'clock. Convene the meeting. Everyone please stand. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. We don't have our name plaques up here. Probably most of you know who we are, but just for those who don't, we've actually switched rooms for the planning board. They're upstairs, we're downstairs. On my right here is Trustee Robin Humphrey. And to my left, got Trustee Labar and Trustee Whitenack, and I'm Mayor Vogt. Okay. And we'll start, take a motion to approve the minutes for the department head meeting on, June 10th and the regular meeting on June 16th.
Move to approve.
Have a motion from Trustee Labar to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Trustee Humphrey. Any comments, corrections, changes? If not, then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, privilege of the floor. Jim Bass, is it Bass?
Yeah, Basil.
Basil, okay. Empire Access.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
You mind if I connect into your...
I have no problem.
Okay.
I'll let you and Bruce here fight it out.
You got to fight it out?
Well, get Joe Long and,
Got all night, don't worry.
All right. We're working on it.
chicken wings are coming.
I think I have a 4-hour presentation for you guys.
That'd be great.
I thought you'd like that.
Evidently, you didn't get the notes on the 10-minute limit.
I can move that. I didn't realize you had it.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just trying to bring it up now.
Yeah, I know. We're a lot of fun here.
Searching for video.
No,
There we
he's
go.
good.
We're approved. Okay. So we're part of the Empire family of companies, and we're a phone company over in Prattsburg, New York, it's the Bend County, and we've built out a number of different markets offering fiber to the home, fiber to the business, kind of the same thing that Google did in Kansas City and a bunch of other large markets we're doing in the southern tier.
Thank you.
And so it's really broadband on fiber.
Get an extra one. I have one. Trustee is not here right now.
So we're offering, gigabit to the home, gigabit to the business. We're privately owned and operated out of Prattsburg. We've been around for over 100 years. It's currently managed by the third generation of the Wagner family. So Brian Wagner is managing the company now. We've got over 85 employees now. We've added about 20 in the last year and a half. And we're a phone company, so we're self-supporting. We have engineering, construction, our own line crews. We do our own billing, customer service. If you pick up the phone and call our company, you'll get a person, a live body, 7 by 24 by 365.
In the area?
Yeah, over in Prattsburg.
Okay.
So we're about 20 minutes away. We operate in New York and Pennsylvania. Our ILEC has 620 square miles of service territory. So it's a very, sparsely populated area with about 12 customers per square mile. We span 8 counties. We've probably built over 900 miles of fiber thus far. And as I mentioned, we do both business and residential customers. Our plan was to build out into markets like Bath and Hornell, Corning, Elmira, Batavia, and build fiber to the home, fiber to the business. So we're facilities-based. We work very closely with the Southern Tier Network, and so we buy network from them. They buy network from us. We do some construction for them, but they've given us kind of the avenue to go into markets like Corning or Hornell. We do voice, internet, security, and video. And as I mentioned, we do offer gig to the home. We actually signed up our first customer down in Hornell. So gig, to put it in perspective, is probably 100 times faster than Time Warner and 200 times faster internet than Frontier.
Sign me up. Yeah, sign me up.
The plan was to add an additional 20 employees in the area. As I mentioned, we're probably over 25 already. We probably underestimated that. And that's a very deep overbuild strategy. When we come to a market, we build out the whole village or the whole city. So where do we offer service today? Hammondsport, Bath, Watkins Glen, Montour Falls, Troy, Pennsylvania, Batavia, Sayre, Athens, Cornell, Arkport, Canisteo. So a lot of small villages and towns and cities, just like Dansville. We're in Elmira, Corning, but we're doing business only to start. We're working on the residential as we speak. So future markets that we've targeted or we'd like to target include the markets up here: Dansville, Geneseo, Elmira, Corning, Canandaigua. We're just trying to decide, where the most friendly environment is for us and where we want to expand. So why fiber? Well, fiber is the latest and the greatest. It's the next generation of communications. It provides unparalleled speeds. You can put gig, 10 gig, 100 meg. As I mentioned, it's over 100 times faster than what Time Warner or Frontier provide today. And we run a non-blocking network, which means our customers get our speeds. If you go to our website, you'll see some of the testimonials. But we've got residential users that buy our standard residential product, which is a 100 meg service, and they get 100 meg. And it's a much better user experience. So the services we offer: phone, internet, video, security, Metro E, dark fiber. Everything we do is delivered on fiber. And the good news is, not only do our customers get a better service, they get a better customer service, but they also, generally, we save customers anywhere from 10 to 30% on their telecom bill. We can duplicate any voice service that a customer may need. Plain old telephone service, a PRI service, a SIP service, which is an IP type service. We do hosted phones, and then of course toll and 800 service. Internet, it's lightning fast, non-blocking network. We have our peering points up in Rochester and Syracuse. So we peer at 2 10 gig locations, and we deliver everything on fiber. Video, we've got a very comparable product to Time Warner Cable. We offer over 250 channels. It's IPTV. And then our head end's down in Bentley Creek, Pennsylvania.
Can you explain IPTV?
So IPTV is Internet Protocol TV. So it travels as an IP signal. It doesn't go through the internet because you have a private line connection from our company. But ones and zeros means there's going to be a higher quality than what Time Warner offers. So they offer a digital product as well, but their standard product is the analog product that they offer, and they've been offering that for over 20 years. We do security and home automation. So we offer 7x24 monitoring right out of Prattsburgh. We do video surveillance. We do a lot of video surveillance for businesses. And then it's kind of a remote control system where you can control your lights and your thermostat and all sorts of home appliances today. And we use Honeywell as our equipment manufacturer for that. So what's the benefit to the community? And we give this presentation to a lot of municipalities. And, broadband has become, on fiber, has become minimum table stakes for economic development. There's a lot of companies that won't locate in a town or village unless they have good broadband and a lot of internet speed. Secondly, and probably more important for your community, is we offer competition to Time Warner Cable. And competition means you're going to get a lower price and you're going to get better customer service. And I mentioned that for a residential customer, we save anywhere from $20 to $50 a month for our residential customers over Time Warner. And those are big savings. Those are savings that, people can spend at the gas station or at a restaurant rather than spending it with Time Warner Cable. Just a little story. Brian Ketchum and I went to Big Flats, and we were invited by Ed Fairbrother. And Ed wanted us to come to town. And he contacted us, and we sat down with him, and we went through a plan. And they decided to loan us $200,000 to come to Big Flats so we could build out our network in Big Flats. Because he felt so strongly about, getting broadband on fiber to his community that they wanted to put up the money and make a commitment to us. It's a loan, so we got to pay it back, but we're offering the service there today. The other guy that called us up was Sean Hogan down in Hornell. And he called us up and said, hey, why don't you come to Hornell and do what you're doing up in Bath? We hear great things about it. We couldn't work out any money arrangement. We built out the network on our own nickel, and today we've got over 400 customers in Hornell. and we've only been there up and operational for 4 months. So it's been going very well. That's just a drawing of our network. And as you can see, we've got a ring up into Rochester, Syracuse, back through Batavia. We plan on coming back down through Dansville and then back up through Cohocton and Rattsburg. But everything we do as a phone company, we build rings. This is our Hornell ring. We got an Elmira Corning ring, and then we've got our Rattsburg, Bath, Hammonds, Port, Sarah ring as well. So that's us in a nutshell. I made my 10 minutes, right? Yeah, so we carry the Rochester locals, we carry the Elmira Corning locals, Buffalo locals, and we got Scranton, PA, believe it or not. So we've got a lot of different local channels.
So if I'm a residential customer and I hire you to give me television, telephone, and internet, what's my monthly bill going to be?
It's $121.
For everything?
Right. Unlimited phone, the 100 meg by 20 meg internet connection, and then our Tier 2 television package, which is most of the channels you want, ESPN, Fox News, CNN, all that stuff.
Because I'm paying, right now, I have Time Warner Television, I have Frontier Phone, and internet, and I don't like any of them, and it costs me $165 a month. So for $120, sign me up.
Me too.
Well, we just need a welcoming invite.
Especially the speed, internet.
Yeah, that's
So-
it.
So,
Yeah.
That means that the guy, 2 times Time Warner takes off, you get one off the internet, you don't have that as much to do.
I couldn't understand.
Internet takes off, so you have Time Warner.
Yeah, I think fiber is a lot more reliable than a coax network. So oftentimes, coax is copper, and when you have a rainstorm or a thunderstorm, you can have some issues with it. Because fiber is not conductive, it doesn't get hit by lightning, and because it's not conductive, water doesn't affect it either. So fiber is a lot more reliable. It's kind of the gold standard, and I think Google and Verizon in the bigger markets, a lot of different companies are putting fiber into their networks today. They're just not doing it in small markets like we're doing.
We don't need that from Time Warner.
Yeah.
Or Frontier.
so what,
We require an 18-month contract, so the commitment we make to our customers is we won't raise your rates during that 18-month contract. But we do require an 18-month contract because of the cost of building the networks. And we actually offer a teaser rate of $65 for the first 6 months of that 18 months. The promotion we run is $65 for the first 6 months, and that goes to $121.
And of course, we can keep the old number.
And we port your phone number. We try and make it easy.
So, but you need money from the village to come in.
No, not necessarily. I think we're just looking for a welcoming environment. It wouldn't hurt.
We don't have a lot.
No, most
okay,
communities don't.
Jim, what do you need from us?
Well, I think one of the things we look for is a franchise agreement. And Brian's our expert on that. Brian's been with the company for over 30 years. And I think we'd look for a warm, welcoming environment where introduce us to businesses. We'll go sign them up. We'll do all the work. We'd love to get the village and the town's business. And, I'm not sure Dansville's big enough.
Oh, come on. We're city on this. How long does it take you to build out a community?
I think it's probably about 5-6 months. So, we're coming through Dansville, so we're going to bring our fiber through Dansville. Whether we spend the money to build out the metro area, the village, that depends on everything that happens here and how we all work together.
How many customers would you need to do a build out? Take a commitment of...
Yeah, I think we would expect to probably get 300 residential and businesses customers in Dansville. In Hornell, we've got 10% market share, and we've been doing it for 5 months. In So we don't expect the village to do anything or make a commitment. We just want your support. And we do all the work. We do all the advertising, installation, all that stuff. We're just looking for, a good relationship. Yeah.
So physically, what do you bring into my structure? What do you bring into my building?
We bring a cable about the size of this cord, which is fiber.
Basically the same as a coax. But
Yeah. And then our ONT is about, PA bit.
that's a device.
Yeah, that's our optical network terminal, which provides the services.
All right, so then I could plug my existing phone wires into that, and my
Yeah.
existing cable,
Yep.
because I've got the whole
We
house
we
wired.
actually hook it up for you.
Okay,
Our TV, because it is IP, requires a set-top box.
okay.
So, but we hooked all that up.
How many of those set-top boxes do I get?
You get one with the service,
Okay,
and each additional one's $5.
a month.
It's also from the ONT to the TV set where the other set-top box will be is wireless, so we actually don't have to do any wiring in the house.
In the house. Okay.
That's what it's all wireless.
All right.
How about the business? How about the business?
We do the same thing. We bring the fiber right into your business, and then offer internet, video, and phone.
You have special rate for the businesses?
Yes, we do. And then we'll get a local sale again.
How far out of the village do you go?
We start with the village. So we're a rural phone company, and we're used to operating with 12 customers per square mile. We like villages like Dansville because of the density, and that's where we feel we can get a return on our investment. Our investment, it's a extended return. It's 4 or 5 year return. So there's a big investment we make, and we'll edge out from the village over time. But we'll probably take the more traveled or the busier routes where there's more people.
A couple miles or more?
I think, Ryan, what is it, 30 people per mile or something?
Yeah, the normal PSC requirement for build out on the cable side is 30 ohms or greater. You have to go there. Anything less than that, then there's a formula that takes place that will be, to make it cost effective for us and the customer.
You say that might be your saving grace, Joe.
Yeah.
So we edge out. We look, but
Yeah, this one.
we're rational businessmen. We got to get a return on our investment.
Would the nearest office be in Plattsburgh County?
Is Cornell closer?
Yes.
So we've got an office in Cornell right now.
Okay.
We hired a sales rep. We got our first technician. We got an outside plant engineer. So, but the plan is, we're looking at doing Mount Morris, Geneseo, Leroy, or so. So there's a number of different.
I'm sorry. What's the typical time for an install at a residence?
When you order it, it's about 30 days. The actual install takes about 2 hours.
Okay.
The reason it's taking 30 days is we're building a network as we come to town. Then you want service to your house, there's no infrastructure there. So every house that we do, we have to put the infrastructure to the house. So it'd be nice if it was already there, but it's not. So.
In Bath, we've been operating over a year. We probably have 20% residential penetration and about 70% business penetration. So, fortunately, Verizon and Frontier have set a very low bar for us, so we can step over that bar and take customers' money.
What's typically some of the reasons given for why they don't make the conversion?
Contracts.
Yeah, they're probably in contracts. That's probably the biggest.
Good answer. No, a valid answer. I wasn't looking for that one, but that's good.
We have such a high hit ratio when we work with customers that, it's probably the envy of the industry.
And a lot of times too, when we do tip our hand that we're coming to town, obviously you can't hide it, right? They'll go door to door and put people under contracts.
Sure.
I mean, it's typical. We see it. You just have to be with it.
One more question. You go underground or you go on top?
We're aerial where there's poles, but we dig where we have to. So, being a phone company, we have 2 line crews, one out of Prattsburgh and one out of Roseville. So we go underground where we have to.
You do all your own installs?
There's so much work, we hire contractors as well.
So we must sub that out.
Yeah. So we do both. Our company is very busy right now.
Always when you're busy.
I'm hoping.
Okay. Members of the board have anything? Well, we appreciate your presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay. So we'll be in touch with you about the franchise agreement and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah. What is, I don't understand the franchise agreement.
We have a CPCN from the state of New York, which enables us to build fiber and offer telecommunication services anywhere, internet. To do video, in their infinite wisdom, they require us to get a franchise agreement from each municipality that we own. So village, town.
Basically, the village is saying you can do this here. That's
Essentially.
what that
We have to do that periodically with Time Warner. All of them.
We signed the same agreement that Time Warner signs. I think Brian's got.
So it's no big encumbrance on it.
No.
No.
Well, and then we pay you so we pay the town 5% of the video portion, which we charge the customers, so it's kind of like just.
Another tax. Another tax.
Not that I'm trying to stir anything up, guys. But
Probably
Brian's
going to
got
be cheaper than your water and sewer rates.
Yeah,
I had to get that
So Brian's got about 9 of these already.
Where you going?
So
Where you
typically what
going?
we do, we go to a municipality like this, we take your existing franchise agreement that's in place today, and one of the laws, it says that it has to be a level playing field.
Right.
So you can't ask more or less of me than what you already have in place. So typically what we'll do is take that contract, change the name to us, while I move on. So.
Understood.
And Jim is correct that, most municipalities charge some kind of franchise fee, and it's a pass-along fee to the ratepayer. And it's anywhere from 0 to 5% of the cable bill. And you can always tell which law firm it came from, because like 4 or 5 communities in the area are all the same, and you get a little bit farther away, then all those are different.
Different
as far as what it states, but in the end, it's 5% of the reoccurring monthly revenue.
So what do you think, guys? You want us to come?
Well, we'll have to think about it. I don't, on the face of it and everything, I don't see any issue with that.
No.
If it offers our residents a better opportunity, a better deal in their eyes, and competition is always good.
Competition, another place to shop.
The more options people have, the better it is.
Yes.
So,
How do you reach out to your customers? Via mail, or how do you promote yourselves?
We mail, advertising. If you listen to Kicking Country, a lot of print ad. Then we have direct sales reps. So direct sales reps generally concentrate on the businesses, and then we do a lot of advertising. Yeah, radio and paper.
sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your time, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Bach.
Okay, I don't have anything wonderful to present. Okay, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Bruce Bach. I'm a land surveyor here in town, and I'm going to start right out by saying I have absolutely nothing to do with FEMA, so you can't shoot the messenger. As a little bit of an introduction, in 2012, the federal government passed the Biggert Waters Act, which basically said that we're not subsidizing flood insurance anymore for anyone. Historically, up to that point, if you bought a flood insurance policy, if you were required to buy a flood insurance policy to get a mortgage, the federal government subsidized a large percentage of the premiums. And then Hurricane Katrina came along, and then after that, Hurricane Sandy and FEMA went just about belly up. We've got to do something. So we're going to roll the premiums back on the customer, and you're going to have to pay full boat for your flood insurance. And it's been a real shocker to a lot of people. in order to get a federally backed mortgage loan in a flood zone, you have to have flood insurance. And in the village of Dansville, this is Google Earth, these purple lines here and here, this green line is Bradner Creek. This flows through town. This is Brewery Creek. These are the floodways, the green lines. The purple lines represent the base, the special flood hazard area, if you will. So all of the homes in between these purple lines, if you were to try and buy one and get a mortgage through a bank, federally backed mortgage, you would have to provide flood insurance unless you can prove that your house is above the base flood elevation. Okay? As you can see, I counted the houses in here, and I think there's something like 233 or 235 houses that are affected by this.
Is that both creeks?
Pardon?
Is that both creeks?
Both creeks, yes. So, and here the floodway and the flood boundary are the same here. That's why there's no purple line between here and here. And the same here. So, as a result of this, people go to sell their homes. Well, their buyer goes and applies for a mortgage, and some company in Austin, Texas says, no, the house is in the flood zone. You need to get flood insurance. And in order to get flood insurance, you need to provide the insurance broker with what they call an elevation certificate. An elevation certificate is prepared by a surveyor or an engineer who is licensed to certify to elevations. Okay? So I've done several of these, and I've brought along, if I can make this work, let's see. I brought along a bunch of what I used. If this works, this will be wonderful. Okay. And we got the hourglass. There we go. Okay, so I've done some. I've done elevation studies at number 1 Sophia Street, 8 Clay Street, 17 Morey Avenue, 17 Livingston Boulevard, 37 and 41 Seward Street, and these are the ones I just thought I'd bring along to illustrate. Okay, let's go to number 1 Sophia Street first. Okay, and here's basically the same image we just saw. And right here is number 1 Sophia Street. Now these lines here, because these streams slope, when it floods, the water isn't level like it would be in a lake. If a lake would just rise like this, but there's going to be a pitch on that water as it runs downhill, obviously. So these purple lines here represent the elevation that the flood would reach during the 1%, and that's the key, 1% annual probability storm. And here at, this would be Seward Street, I think, the elevation is 719, and then it goes up to 722, and then this is the house, this is the location of the house. I should probably go back a little bit, backpedal, and explain what FEMA's looking for. These purple lines, I guess they're yellow in this. Let's go back to Google Earth. Okay, these purple lines represent the limits of flooding during a 1% annual probability storm. And what that means is, every year there's a 1 in 100 shot we're going to have a storm that's going to flood to these lines. That's what FEMA says. Not me, but that's what their numbers say. Okay? In 1978, their contractors performed a detailed study of these two streams, as well as Mill Creek. But as you can see, there aren't any homes affected along Mill Creek. So that's kind of a non-starter there. This is the area that's really of concern. So, back to my little thing here. In order to determine, to prepare an elevation certificate so that one might apply for flood insurance, I have to determine what the base flood elevation is going to be for a given site. So FEMA says you have to go to the highest point on the structure, and that's where the elevation will be determined. So FEMA provides a flood insurance. This is a profile of Bradner Creek. And I can go in here, and where am I? And FEMA prepared, this is the Dansville Village Flood Insurance Study. This is what they did in 1978, and it's been revised April 5th, but that was only for Canasarega Creek. They didn't really do anything except make the maps worse. But as you see here, they provide these profiles of the creeks. There's Bradner as we go up, and you can see they cross. There's Liberty Street. And so on this profile, the bottom line represents the stream channel. The next line, here's the legend, the next line up represents the 10% annual chance. That means that every year there's a 1 in 10 shot we're going to have that storm that fills this stream to this level. Okay? Then above that we have the 2% chance, which is 1 in 50 every year. Okay? 1% chance, this is where the flood insurance problem comes in, and that's here. And then the top line is the 0.2% or 1 in 500 probability. In other words, they call them 10-year storm, 50-year storm, 100-year storm, 500-year storm. But in essence, it's 10% chance, 2% chance, 1%, and 0.2%. That's not to say you couldn't have 5 10-year storms in 1 year. But that's just, that's the odds. Yeah. So, interestingly enough, here's the 100-year storm line here. Here's the 10-year. Now, I know, I've lived here 13 years. I know for a fact we've had 10-year storms on this watershed. I know for a fact, okay? So now I'll go back to this. Here's the chart this is the profile for, well, there's Chestnut and Liberty. So we're in between Chestnut and Liberty, very close to Liberty at 1 Sophia, and this is where the structure is on the profile. It's 50 feet from this cross section. FEMA made cross sections in here. These blue lines represent the cross sections where supposedly they actually made measurements, elevation measurements, and there's a number of them through here. You can see them up along the stream banks. So you have to determine how far above the cross section you are, and then come across to your structure. It's pretty straightforward. Then you enter the table. Okay, I was 50 feet upstream from cross-section G. Okay, so I plotted that in here on the table. Then I come up and I intercept the 100-year storm. Okay? So there's the 100-year storm. At that point, the base flood elevation is 724 feet above datum or sea level, if you like. Okay, the 10-year storm is at 722.5. Now, what gets you in or out of if you're inside these lines, if your structure is inside these purple lines, then you're inside the special flood hazard area because this is the regulatory boundary. The only way you can get out is to prove that the lowest adjacent grade around the structure, in other words, if you walk around your house, find the lowest point of the ground around your house, that would be your lowest adjacent grade, including any attached decks, stairways, etc., etc. So in other words, what they're looking at is the water going to rise high enough to get in your basement windows
to get onto your first floor, to flood your basement, or to tear away your deck and stairs. Okay, if the deck isn't attached, it doesn't count. So you don't worry about it then. But most people attach their deck to their house, or their stairs, their porch steps, etc. So back to my Sophia Street, if I can find it, I'll be on this program. Okay, so here's 1 Sophia Street. Here's the highest point on the structure, as near as I can tell from the aerial photograph. And if you want, here, this is what you have to use. These are FEMA's beautiful maps here. Let's open this one. Okay. Maybe. It's big. Okay. This is what they did in 2010. Come on. I know it's clearer than that.
Not much.
No, they aren't. They're terrible. Yeah, I don't know how people can find their houses on there to say whether they're even in or out. They're just terrible maps. Let me go back to my... I might be able to... I think I might have them. Maybe not. This may take a while. These are big files. You gotta try and work with this stuff. It drives you crazy. Yeah, I know. I need new fiber. This computer was state of the art 2 years ago. Come on. Oy, oy, oy. There we go. Okay. Here's the flood insurance rate, what they call the flood insurance rate maps. And let me just see if I can find the right one here. Now I can get rid of this one. Okay. Here we are. Now, I don't know if you could pick out your house in there from that on that map. I can't find mine. You know, and this is what they tell people. And there's a company in Austin, Texas, that for $25 you go and apply for a mortgage, and they'll send to this company and say, "Here's the address. Are we in or are we out?" And they'll come back, and for $25 they'll tell you you're in or you're out. And I don't see how they can do it. But they've got, I don't know, $25, and I bet they do hundreds of them a day. So anyway, I can get rid of all this stuff here and go back to what I was. So I got digital versions of the flood maps, and I put them on the photos, and I got a lot better shot at what's going on. So anyway, determine the base flood elevation. And the lowest adjacent grade, that's the key. Those are the two key numbers. The base flood elevation is how high the water will rise during a 100-year storm, during a 1% probability storm. The lowest adjacent grade is the number that you have to be above to not be required to get flood insurance.
You're going to give us that number eventually, right?
It changes with every property.
Well, for 1 Sophia, though.
Oh, yeah. Here it is.
Actually came out.
Here it is. It is 3.9 feet below the 10% storm.
724.
No, that's 722.5 is at 10%. It's 5.3 feet below the 100-year storm. But what I'm saying is we have had 10-year storms. In the 13 years I've lived here, I know we've had one anyway, for sure. And yet, they're saying that the water would be 3.9 feet deep at 1 Sophia Street. That's what that graph says to me. Okay, that's one. Okay, so I got more. Okay, let's go in here. Here's 8 Clay Street. So if I can find my little blue line, I know it's here somewhere. There it is. Okay, so here's 8 Clay Street right here. All right. And my chart didn't come through. Why not? Well, I don't need it. It's the same kind of chart as on the other one. But here is the lowest adjacent grade is 3.3 feet below the 10-year storm at 8 Clay Street, which means there'll be 3 feet of water in the middle of Clay Street in front of that house during a 10-year storm. It's, I can't conceive of it happening. And it goes on and on. It goes on and on. So, I don't, the village engineer, this flood insurance, this flood study here, if I can go and get back, oops, here we are, discharges, Mill Creek, Radnor Creek, that's good, peak discharges. Nope. I know there's a table of discharge, peak discharges. Where are they? Study, introduction. I was just looking at this today. All right. Summary of discharges. Radnor Creek at the northern village boundary during a 1% annual chance flood will discharge 911 cubic feet per second. That basically fills a swimming pool every 2 minutes. Or less. During a 100-year storm. That's huge. That's huge. There's 7.5 gallons in a cubic foot of water. So if you multiply that, that's per second. So that would cover, in 1 hour, that would cover an acre of ground 75 feet deep. I don't know where they got the numbers, but I think they're a little off.
I didn't fight it.
Well, that's the thing. The village engineer says that, it would take an act of Congress to fight FEMA because they're not going to back down. And so the real answer is you have to do a new study. And it has to be a detailed study. And the methods they used and the information they had in 1978 is nothing compared to what they have now. I got the LIDAR data from the USDA where they have a laser and they hit the ground every half foot over the whole village. And I only played around with it a little bit because I don't have the computing power. I really don't need it to make a living, but I played with it a little bit. And there's enough information there with just a little bit of field work that a hydrologist could come up with some numbers that would probably be better than this. And so my feeling is, get Chuck Schumer involved. That's or his ilk, somebody in the federal government. Because he got a bunch of people out up in Chilai. They redid the flood study up there. I don't know if you remember that. It was 4 or 5, 6 years ago. Everybody was up in arms because before they didn't have to, and then they redid the flood maps, and all of a sudden all these homes that weren't are. And I don't see how it could get any worse here. The village engineer says, well, you might be opening Pandora's box and it would get worse, but I don't see how it could because there's never been 4 feet of water in Clay Street. I have some others too.
We have a question here?
Yeah.
Your biggest problem is they put this Bradner's Creek on there. There is no such thing as Bradner's Creek that comes down through the village of Mansfield. It's an extension of Mud Creek. Right? It's a storm drainage ditch. The reason why they can take and do this, because of the simple reason there is no Bradner's Creek in Mansfield. It's all hypothetical, and it shows it right here. 4 feet of water.
It runs right past about 5 houses down from me, Radnor Creek.
Back in 1972, back in 1940.
Oh no, but I'm not disputing.
That's what they did.
I agree.
It's extension of Mud Creek. And as Bob Engler said back in the 40s, take the water from your railroad water tower and the water from the reservoir, pipe it back to the old Mill Creek above the Moose Club, and done with it. Any water after that is stormwater.
Okay, let's get back on
Yeah,
the study. This
yeah.
is for the board, not for the...
Yeah, okay, so here's 17 Maury Avenue. And again, my chart isn't coming through. I'm sorry, I've been busy, I couldn't put this together, but this is Sauerbeer's house at the corner of Maury and, is it Clinton? Yeah. And they have 10%, at the 10% storm, there'll be roughly 5 feet of water at the intersection of Clay and Maury. That's what the charts say to me.
Never happened.
No, it never will happen, but that does not stop
Oh, I understand.
the whole thing. Sauerbeers couldn't sell their house. They had to auction it because they couldn't find a buyer because the premium was almost $2,000 for the flood insurance. Dave and Nancy Hall, their house was down there on the corner of Livingston Boulevard and Clay Street. They got a quote of, I think it was $4,200 for flood insurance. So, you can say, well, we can improve the channel to handle the volume, but that's going to be a huge expense. And maybe it doesn't need to be approved to the extent that it needs to handle 911 cubic feet at the end of the village. Maybe a slight improvement if there was a different study done.
What was Agnes? What level of storm was it?
Well, it varied all over the place.
I think it was 100, wasn't it?
Let's see. They talk about it in this study. Engineering methods, blah, blah, blah. Area study, scope of study, description, coordination, introduction. Okay, purpose of study. Okay.
17.
Due to restudy, the restudy in 2010 was due, they restudied Canastreger Creek because there was some land annexed to the village in Sparta. So that, pardon me, was the reason for the 2010 revision. Coordination, let's see. Here's and you could say there's no such thing as Bradner Creek, but there it is right there. Yeah, Village of Dansville. Yeah.
So Bruce, out of all the elevation surveys that you've done, did any of them pan out?
I did one for Terry Cox. Is that his name, Terry Cox? The policeman? Cox? Denny Cox. I did one for him on Clay Street. Yeah, he just...
Clay.
Or is it Clinton?
He's on Lower Clinton by the
Yeah, he's
school.
at North Acres.
Yeah, I got him out. His lowest adjacent grade was above the base flood elevation. So we did what's called a letter of map amendment, where I submit proof that, my measurements say he's above, and FEMA says, okay, and they issue a letter that says, all right, you don't need flood insurance. So at that point, you're gold. But you see, he's right on the very edge of the flood zone. Right, because I think this is the house he bought right here, right?
Okay.
And you can see the line is very close there.
In front of the house.
Yep. And these poor people in here, they're all stuck. So, me, it doesn't, I'm in zone B. It doesn't bother me. I'm a little nervous about refinancing, though, because a bank can require you to get flood insurance even if there's no federal requirement. So, let's see if I have any more of these here. Let's go back to this and see what this, because it does say, principal flood problems, damaging floods, blah, blah, blah. Summer floods are in general localized. Okay, tropical storm Magnus 72, $50 million damage, lower basin range, 10-year storm at Rochester, 60-year storm at Jones Bridge, which is, I believe, in Geneseo. 35-year storm at Shango, 285-year storm at Portageville. Lower reaches of Canastreger Creek was 125 years. So it varies depending on where in the watershed you are.
We were at least 100 years.
I would guess, yeah.
And it didn't flood any of those streets.
No. Oh, that's, everyone tells me.
Cancerega was the worst problem.
And that was
down
because
by
of flood,
Foster-Wheeler.
Foster-Wheeler, right? There was a blockage at Foster-Wheeler that caused a backup.
So somebody in Washington smoking dope or just trying to screw us one another.
Well, I think they're, what they're trying to do is,
Make up for all
it's
the
such
other
a
fools people.
huge project to do the whole country. And so that they don't really, they can't be as intensive as they should be. And so they err on the side of caution. And I think they really erred on the side of caution in Dansville. Because it's better to make people get insurance, right? Pay premiums that they're never going to collect on, than to maybe not require them to get insurance and then have to pay. So, and flood insurance is really cheap if you're outside the base flood area, special flood hazard area. And just something else I wanted to bring up. Someone said that, well, flood insurance doesn't pay for stuff in your basement. But it does. It pays for physical plant, furnace, water heater, central air, anything that is used for the operation of the building. It will pay for, I believe it will pay for framing and drywall, sheetrock, but not to finish the drywall sheetrock, just to nail it up. And I've got a, let's see. And just to give you an idea, here's an elevation certificate. This is the one I performed for Sophia. So they want me to, here's my base flood elevation that I determined from that I just showed you. And then here's all the elevations that have to be determined. Top of the bottom floor, which is the basement. Next higher floor. This is not applicable because it's zone 5. Attached garage, top of slab, etc., etc. Lowest adjacent grade at lowest elevation to deck or stairs, including structural support, 719. So his lowest adjacent grade, they're done for. They're pretty well screwed. And don't quote me on that.
Put it in parentheses.
Yeah.
Something other.
So here's where I took the elevations on the house. And I can't remember whether it's G or H is the lowest adjacent grade. It's one of these two is the lowest adjacent grade. I think it's H here. So this is what, if you get a quote for flood insurance, you have to provide the broker or the agent with one of these. I don't have any solutions. And I think that maybe looking around and finding a hydrologist, because MRB, they don't have a hydrologist on staff. They have people who...
Okay, walk.
Joe, as luck would have it, there's a doctor in the house.
Sit back down? No, I'm going to get out. I find this one, I can't my watch.
You live above the zone.
Yeah, right.
Have a good evening, Joe.
Take care, Joe.
So I think one step would be to try and find and engage a hydrologist who does just this thing, a hydraulic engineer who does just this sort of thing, and at least say, how much is it going to cost us, to do this study? We don't believe this. I'd be happy to meet with the guy, show him what I got, and see what else he needs and what it's going to cost. Because like I said, sure, you could improve those two channels to handle those flows, But if it costs $10 million to do it, and in reality you could do it for $2 million, then it might be worth paying the guy $50,000, $100,000 to do the study. And I don't think it would cost that much.
Or to investigate it.
Yep, exactly.
So
But
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Someone, we use Denny Cox's house.
Scott, why don't you throw in the lights?
The house, let's say the house next door to him is the same statistical information that you were able to provide Denny. He got his cleared, but the people next door would have to go through the same process.
They would have to do the
FEMA's not
same.
going to look at that and say,
Nope, you just take out the structure.
You better look at the rest of the street and we'll fix it. But it's,
Yeah, it's on an individual case-by-case basis.
So the only way to address all of that is to have a study done.
Interestingly enough, let's see where we are here. Cottage. Where's Clinton? North Clay.
Maybe.
I get lost here. I've lived here for 13 years. Eagle Street, William Street. Where the heck are we? North Clinton. Okay. North Clay. Let's see. Oh, okay. This is Pat Moonan's house right here. And this house just sold. I can't remember the fellow's name. But he called me, and he's flipping it, I guess. And he called me and he wanted to know if he was in or out. And I said, well, you're out, because he's outside the limits. And Pat called me and said, well, my neighbor's out, and I've got to pay flood insurance. And so I said, well, I can come down and I can measure and I can give you a quick answer and tell you whether you're in or out. So I went and I measured her lowest adjacent grade, and yeah, she's about 3 feet below base flood. But these two houses are at the same elevation. So if there's going to be 3 feet of water here, doesn't it stand to reason there'd be 3 feet of water here? It's smoke and mirrors. It just doesn't make any sense at all. And they're saying that the flood stops here and stops here. So if there's going to be 3 feet of water in the middle of the street here, what does it do? Just go like this? Yeah.
Parting of the waters, my friend.
It does not make any sense.
We were right up there with Moses.
Yeah, so I just, it's not the hazard that they claim it to be. And we all know that. And so what's going to happen is as people decide they want to sell their homes, they're not going to be able to. And bigger waters, I mean, when that went into effect, and all of a sudden people started getting huge premium increases on their flood insurance, well, all the realtors went nuts. And they have a big lobby. They have a lot of money. So they went to Washington and said, you guys got to stop this. So, okay, well, we'll rescind it temporarily. And the premiums came back down to manageable levels. But that's not going to last.
4-year period.
Right. That's not going to last.
It's going to increase over 4 years.
Right. And then it'll be right back where it was.
Yep.
And 4 years, I'm getting older, and 4 years goes by like that. So obviously something needs to be done. One way to go is to do a new study and dispute FEMA's numbers. How we do that, I don't know. The village engineer says it's a take an act of Congress.
Well, maybe it will, but we need to start some of this.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
thanks.
Dr. and Mrs. Qureshi, you did get your letter. I don't know how much of it the board has had a chance to read, but did you want to speak to the board? I don't have you on here, but you certainly go ahead.
I have the letter.
Yeah, everybody got a copy of it, so.
So what our request was that the question was all these years there's always been this concern. For us, we've never really worried about it, but we want to downsize and get a small place, so we put the house back on the market. And the general question is, who is responsible for the water line? And when we bought the house originally, almost 30 years now,
Excuse me.
we were told by the officers that originally the budget did not allow, because we were the only ones on the street, wanting the village to supply them with the water. And the funds weren't there to put a line for this particular house. And so they agreed that they would put the funds in, put the line in, and because it's uphill, they would need a pump, and they would supply the funds for that also. So then the village did that. They supplied the funds, pipe was put in, the pump was put in, electricity and water pipes discovered that it also be supplied by us. And it's been there, nothing has happened, and once the pump broke a couple of years ago, and we fixed several years ago. And it was, we didn't call the village, didn't do anything, and we watched over it. Originally, it had a big tank, metal thing, and we were given a key, so they had a double chain over it, and a big fat lock on it. Somebody apparently has broken, and we presumed it was somebody from the village probably checking it, and couldn't figure out who had the lock and the key, and we never bothered. So nobody, we know it wasn't the kids, but we couldn't figure out, and we never bothered. It's there, small towns, village, who's going to really do anything? Anyway, once the pump was fixed, no problems, everything is fine. Now that we are putting the house on the market and trying to look for a small place, we are figuring out, people are asking us the same question. This question was raised when somebody else was trying to buy the lot above us also. And we were told by the village, we understand that this water line is privately owned. And they came to us and asked us how we were looking at it. It was privately owned. Because, so we said, well, whatever, we understand, we paid for it. We don't know. So they came back and said, well, but we are told, you're the private owner. So we said, if you can have it, then it's the village is going to put it in technically, even though we paid for it. So the property, and they said, no, this is family. So we told them, hey, you can share it. We don't have a problem. So the question they said was, but who would fix it? If something happens to it, it's underground. We don't know. I'm sure we can figure it out.
Does it run on the street? Scott?
It runs on the town side of Dugway. So it's basically...
Yeah, but who's it feeding?
Pardon?
Who's it feeding?
Feeds Grushies.
And how many others?
I believe one other ones. I think, not really sure, but Mike, your gym teacher, Mike Mullen, I believe it feeds his house also.
Okay. I'm sorry.
So, having talked to Benjamin, who was there at that time, he said he put his well in because that's worked for him. And it's across our house, apparently, I don't know the logistics of the town and the village to me, it's all the same, we pay taxes either way to everybody. So it doesn't matter. And so the issue now is that if something happens, because if the road is going to get fixed and it's going to be damaged at some point, or, things are going to happen, and there's another piece of land that's being bought, and somebody's building a house, and anything happens, if it gets, something happens to the pipe, whether it's age or anything else, who's going to fix that? And if you have to sell the place, and somebody's asking us this question was asked today, that what happens if something happens to the pipe, because rumor has it, it's private, and you are the private owners. Okay, let me get that answer sorted, because there's nothing apparently on the paper anywhere to explain the story that I understand to be a story. You can say we fabricated it or you fabricated it. I don't know who's got the story right, but there's nothing on paper to say we paid it or you paid it, but that's the way the story goes. So what we would like to know is, like I asked you the question too, one, where the marking is, so we know where the pipe is in case anybody else wants to buy the land anywhere else or build anything. And two, if the road is ever getting fixed, where the pipe is, I presume somebody's going to be responsible. And if, pipes get spoiled over time, I don't know, I'm not such an expert. Two, if it gets broken at any point or gets damaged in any way, who's going to take care of that? To fix it, it's somebody's digging, just like the gas lines, I know it happened once before on our side of it, and NICEAG came back to, you guys got to pay for it, but there was no marking on it. So, who's responsible? Those are the kind of answers I'd like to know, and have it kind of written down this time, so even if we sell a house, or even if we stay there, for instance, maybe getting old, maybe getting younger either, I'm sure not interested in digging up and putting a pipe in there. Damaging something. I'd like to know if you could put it in writing somewhere, so even if, none of us are here again.
I would venture an opinion, my opinion only. I don't speak for the other three members sitting here, or the one that's not sitting here, fourth one. If the line is in a public right-of-way, then at the very least, it's a undesignated water district. Feeding just would be no different than down in Cumminsville, I would think, where we have a water line. We don't own those roads. That's my own guess. It is, and in this particular case, it's feeding village people. So I don't know. Who's been maintaining it, Scott? Do you know?
They have. Corrections.
All 100%. We've done nothing on that.
It's always been, I was told, private line, and so they maintain it.
What's the
There's a
length we're
pump
talking about? How much pipe?
from probably 400 feet, maybe.
It
all over the hill.
strikes me odd.
There's a tank at the bottom. You go drive up, I don't know if you ever noticed that tank's on the side of the road.
I think so.
There's a pump in there.
Yep, okay.
And then they also have a pump at their house. So it's a 1-inch line. And like I say, it runs up the town side of the road. So it's like I told Ms. Gretchen, she can always fix it because it's on town property. I mean, it's not like it's on private property.
Right.
But her question is, who's going to maintain it? The $1 million question. I would say it's a private
Is it up to,
line.
as far as the line and everything, is it up to code as far as...
I have no idea. It's an old steel line.
Another one of these handshake and a deal.
Yep. Somebody wanted to build up there and they ran their own line.
That's not what we understood. We were told it was done. Those properties, I don't know, I have no idea. There were a lot of people, and when somebody wanted to buy the house, the land next to it, which is what we originally wanted to buy, but nobody was selling it. And now somebody wanted to buy it, and somebody wants to build, which actually we were also interested in. But nobody can buy it because they're afraid, like, okay, this is private line. And I'm like, why is it private, really? You could, okay, I understand the village doesn't have the budget, but we've been paying all these years for the water and sewer and everything. And we suddenly, of course, just as this issue is going to get the capital improvement bill, I'm like, yay! We're doing capital improvement, maybe we fit into this now. And if somebody buys the land next to us, it's going to always be a deterrent for everybody not to buy. The person across who bought the land said, hey, I don't want to get into this issue with the village, the town, or anybody else, so I'm just going to dig a well out there. I don't want to get into it. It's like, so we'll always be stuck with this issue, no matter what we do. I mean, forget the floodwater issue. Here we have a simple, people who've been paying for 50 years for this water line, for the water bill and everything. We still can't get the service for anything we've been paying all these years, and ask for a simple thing. I mean, yes, Scott is right, maintain the water line, but we never had to do anything for the water line except have paid for it, handshake or no handshake. And we've maintained the pump, we've done our share. If it is to our benefit, we help maintain the pump, take care of the pump, it breaks, we can do that. We're willing to go to bat on that one. The pump on our side is, it had been me, and they had gotten the house. If my husband was not so nice, just too nice about it, should have said, hey, wait a second, I'll pay for the pump that's right at my house, but anything beyond that, go back to the village and have them sign up for that. That way we should have been out. we are paying taxes everywhere. Our house assessment has gone up like 20-some thousand for what? For this thing? You know, that's not there. It doesn't go argue. I understand that. I understand, you know, it has to be patient. But this is a bit too much. That thing, roads, we're going to dig and find out when we have a whole crew of people for public works. I mean, I think we are public too, you know. So I'd like these people to get something. For anybody else, if we roll over and die and somebody buys a house or sells it, they still have the problem. So problem is not going to disappear. If I sit down quietly and say, hey, no problem, I keep paying, you know. So I think you guys might want to consider resolving it some way and put it to rest and put it in writing maybe somewhere, or possibly down, whatever.
Thank you.
Scott, as you look into your crystal ball, what would be the what could occur to the pipeline that would require either replacement or some type of maintenance?
There's another issue, there's a sewer line that comes down through there too, and their house is private. Same side of the road, driveway's put in the same ditch, I would imagine. I have no idea, there's a couple cleanouts on down the road.
Are you on sewer?
Sorry?
Do you have sewer service? Okay.
I didn't even know it existed until I went out there. There's nothing in our books. Again, it was private way back in the day. It was just put in and life went on. So here we are today. Yeah, it's a 1-inch steel line. I'm sure it's I know it's galvanized. So I'm sure inside that galvanized line it's about that big.
Yeah.
And you got to have a pump because they're higher than the reservoir. Where they're at. Maybe not higher, but pretty darn close.
Yep. At least on the same level.
So, and I was hoping maybe Jeff Schaefer would want water. He's drilled a well.
Mm-hmm.
He's put a septic system in. It's kind of, it goes right by his door, the sewer. I don't know why he didn't inquire to tie into that at least.
Which side's he on, town or village?
Town. Okay. Again, that's all on the town side too.
Yeah.
So I did ask Jeff when he bought the land, and I said, hey, you know, you're going to share the line with us. And he said, oh no, I don't want to get into it with the village and all because everybody in Philadelphia had already been told the private line drama and we backed off applying that land. So I said, we never get anybody to go in with us.
But a new line would be the answer. Like I say, if Jeff wanted to tie on, you know, then there's a couple other houses up through there. The road's shot anyways. It'd be a great time to do it. You know? And everybody would have water up there. And again,
I guess probably if you surveyed the road and find out that, you know, if we did request a line, if these people would be willing to get on the water.
well, I can tell you Jeff Schaefer doesn't mind part of it. And I don't know.
The town's not getting anything unless they go on a water district.
Yeah, right.
I don't care if the water line's on their line, but they're not getting anything until they go on a water district. That's the only way you're going to fix this problem the right way.
I agree with that.
I think the land that's being sold has not been sold because of that problem too. So
We need to take a look at the legal end of it from the line being on the town side, but it's only servicing village. As long as there isn't an issue with the town, then there's no reason why we can't, that's the board's desire, just declare it that that's a village line and that's that. And then in time it'll have to be replaced. But at least we'll have the ownership. And it'll, you know, this private line stuff's ridiculous. That's the second one I've heard of in the village, basically. And there's no reason why people in the village should have private lines. Paying water and sewer bills. Yep. You gotta know they're gonna get more.
Because I think the real people also know that about the land above us.
Mhm.
And that might be needed, you know, by the tourists.
Well, the board will take a look at it, and we'll have to do something. And we'll get back to you. Won't say it will be tomorrow, though, but we'll work on it. Hopefully before I leave office. That's a while yet. Yep, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Gosh, this handshake stuff drives me nuts.
Okay. Now 8:15. Go along to the mayor's comments. Correspondence, just a reminder, we have the public hearing next Tuesday, the 28th, and 6 p.m. in the GCC auditorium. That'll be primarily to hear from the public, not necessarily to give answers. There will be a set of rules. I will pass it by everybody if I get to it early enough. Make sure we're all on the same page. Okay. We need to also, in tune with that, consider some date soon after where we can act on whatever it is we're going to pass when it comes to water and sewer rates. Whether it will be what has been projected or if we're going to do something else. And I would ask for a special meeting so that we can just focus on that one topic and not have to worry about anything else. Take a look at your calendars, and now we can touch base over the email and set up something that way. Okay, I do have, and I don't believe I made a copy for anybody, a copy of an update project for the Livingston County Emergency Communications System. And so I will get a copy. I just got that, so I have to, at least I just saw it. I'll get a copy out to everybody. I've already mentioned the letter from Dr. and Mrs. Qureshi. And also on this coming Thursday, 6 p.m., at the Highway Barns down at Hampton's Corners, the county will hold an auction to include, I believe it's 2 properties from Dansville. Primarily the property of our concern right now is the property at 48 Bryan Street. My intent, if nothing else, is to inform the new owner, should somebody be so fortunate to bid and buy it, all of the issues with it that they're going to have to correct. I hope they've done their due diligence, checked it out. It won't take them much for them to see that it's in bad shape. Although it looks nice around it. Oh, yeah. Okay, under committee reports, Megan, action items list update. I don't think you have anything this evening.
I haven't had any updates since April.
Okay. I was talking with Megan earlier today about what we need to do. When we get to the end of the meeting, before we do community comments, we need to go over whatever anybody here thinks should be an action item so that she has that down. So if there's something you're expecting it to be an action item, she'll read off what she has or doesn't have. She obviously won't read it if she doesn't have it, but anyway, we'll go over that list and we can make sure that she has the correct information that we want taken care of. That's what a lot of people do. A lot of communities do. Okay, moving on to the next item. Still working on the peddler permit update, as well as the financial policies and procedures. Once we get the water sewer stuff out of the way and a few other issues, we'll try to close those out. And again, because there was a mix-up on the timing and everything for the Time Warner agreement, that's the franchise agreement that was alluded to earlier with the other company. We will hold the public hearing at our next regular meeting in August. We can do that the same time, 7 o'clock, whatever date that is. In other words, the third Tuesday of the month. I don't think there's going to be a lot of input, but you never know. And let's see. We also have to do a housing rehab public hearing. We can do that the same night. And you know what the status is on the property out on Red Jacket Street? Has there been any change? Or we completed it, the transfer? What was it, 7 feet or something?
I have never told it.
Yeah, it's in that letter from the lawyer. I remember signing off on it.
Right, I haven't had any updates since. gave all of the appropriate paperwork back to them.
Oh, we
The
see,
day after that board meeting, but I haven't.
that was John, right?
Yeah, John
Yeah.
was part of it.
Well, we'll put that on the action list. I will check that out and see if that's all finished, what we need to do, if anything. I could clean that up. Public safety, Trustee Whitenack.
Code enforcement, this, the way it stands right now, the enforcement, gal is not with us this evening.
Speak up a little bit.
Pardon?
Pull your mic over.
Tammy's not with us. Tammy's not with us tonight, so the code enforcement is read at the department head meeting. Will stand as is for the time being.
I do have an item on it.
Go for it.
This is in regards to property at 48 Leonard Street. And the code office has sent out previously notices of condemnation, both to the owner of record and also to Chase Bank. And this has been occurring over a 1-year period. The latest is that the bank has forgiven all monies owed by the owner. Yes. And the code officer has been in contact with the owner, and he has expressed an interest in gifting that piece of land to the village. Taxes are paid up to date. Sharon was going to call the county just to check to make sure there's no liens against the property. She was going to call today. I have not met with her. So there's a piece of property, 48 Leonard. We've heard about that piece of property in the past.
It's like all the other 48s in Dansville.
Correct. But the owner, at least in conversation with the code officer, has indicated that he would be willing to turn that over to the village.
Well, I guess we ought to follow through and see what, make sure it's all legit and everything. If
Right.
We're not stuck with a big bill. Not in the housing program.
No, but
That might be, it's always that possibility to make something out of it. Do the study for the floodplain. Okay. I'll also add one thing. I talked to Tammy about this yesterday because it sort of took me by surprise yesterday. If you've looked over in front of the Jackson Hose building, there seems to be a build-out onto the sidewalk.
Yeah.
That is because during the process of remodeling the face of that building, they found out that one of the beams that cuts across there, support beams, is rotted. And they've got to get an engineer in, and they're afraid that those bricks could come loose on their own, the face of the building would come down. So they put that in there along with some road closed signs, but it's actually sidewalk closed signs. It's a safety thing. At first I was saying, who in the world allowing them to build out onto the sidewalk?
I thought the same thing.
So I immediately saw Tammy, that's what had happened. So it's just a temporary structure to protect people. Thank goodness. So that's all I have from that side of the fence.
Anything else? Okay, Craig?
Yeah, I just have one question with this. Who's the owner of that property at 48, do you know? Is that an Abdi or something?
Michael Edson.
Because I got a call
Yes, about control burn.
about control burn on that property
Yes.
too. And I did check it out and I looked at it. It's closer to the electric and telephone lines than he said it was. And I pretty much told him on the phone that we would not be able to burn it because I know you burn something like that in the village and you know that smoke's going to be all over it. It's not just going to be for one day, it'll be for a week. And then you got a big hole in the ground that you're going to have to fill in and stuff. So there's a lot of regulations that we have to go through. We got to get the DEC involved. We got all our training training regulations.
I don't think the
just to do
neighbors are
that,
going to be
so.
too happy.
And that's it, I don't, and then I started thinking, well, maybe to get the building down, they might be. Maybe they live with a week of smoke in the area, but, so I pretty much told them no, that we wouldn't be able to burn that.
Thank you for
Just
adding
want to let you know that.
Yeah.
We might want to check on that one if there's any asbestos in it, like the other one. I don't, even if it's free, I don't think I want it. It's got asbestos.
So that's all I got. And we're working on our grant. Been dealing with some salesmen, obviously, once you get on that list, they're all calling, so. I will need a copy of the procurement policy. I'll get from
For
Megan.
the newspaper and members of the public, if you're here, you might want to just tell everybody what that is.
We applied for past Chief Chamberlain, when he was chief, applied for a FEMA grant, firefighter assistance grant. The grant was actually for $191,000. FEMA's willing to give us $182,000 of that, so the village will have to come up with the remaining $9,100 of it. So it's pretty much for turnout gear, which needs to be replaced, some rescue tools, our Hearst tools, and some gorge rescue stuff. So it's much needed stuff. That's a grant.
So you'll be able to do the turnout gear a little faster than
Faster
original.
than we were, our bailout systems and stuff. So.
What's the requirement in receiving a grant like that? Do you need to document how the money is spent, or how does that work?
We have a year to spend that money, but that's why I need to procure. We have to follow the policy of the village on it, and we just have to demonstrate that we use good faith in getting quotes and estimates, and just pay for them. The money actually comes to the fire department. The FEMA money will come to the fire department, the $182,000. They will pay $182,000, and then they have to show them that the village has paid the other $9,000 to replace it.
Is that, I can't remember if that's in our budget now or not. If it's in the budget, it shouldn't be any issue.
Right. We planned on using some of it for budgeted items. We plan on getting one of the spreaders this year, actually a ram and stuff. So there's $9,000 in there that we have that will replace that. So the village is actually getting $182,000 worth of equipment. So
You can help us with the budget portion of it, right?
yeah, where it goes.
Yep.
It's all there.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're kind of shocked.
You can let us know what the line items are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Congratulations. And thank you.
Yeah. We got fortunate. We're kind of shocked.
Thanks, Greg. And ambulance company, I want to see a representative of that.
Dick, the ambulance company did request Pete's approval on that catch basin, so we had to bring them up to speed on that. They have a catch basin. I think you maybe were at the last meeting that they talked about it.
Well, I know
Catch basin.
Dick and I have talked about it.
Okay.
So I'm aware of it. Unless the board has a problem with that. If you want to hold off, that's fine too, but if it's
I think they said they could provide
materials.
materials, or at least cover the cost of materials.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
We need to straighten
I
that
think
out.
we were providing the labor on it, and I think some of the materials, but
Yeah, I'd like to know what it's costing us. If it's the labor, that's not an issue, but if it's, the guys are going to be here working, doing something, so.
They're gonna have some
If it's going to
concrete.
cost something else, then we need to take a look at it. I think it's
They're going to have a new frame and grate for the top of it. Probably,
You said it wasn't that much concrete anyway before?
no, it isn't.
yeah, I don't see that as being an issue. What would the cost of the grate? Any
We
idea?
probably have some down in the shop right now that we've taken out of areas that we probably use them basically that would be fine for what they need. Or actually the grate they have is okay, we just need to make a new frame for it so the guys can weld up the frame. So, I mean, really the concrete would be your biggest item. Yard of concrete, $100 probably. But you're actually taking village money, that's
Yeah.
private property, so
Right.
maybe they should pay for that.
I was
Well,
just
they
gonna
do
say,
get the FEMA, they do get the medics money, so I think they could afford that.
I think that would be fair if they just covered that,
Yeah.
whatever expenses we have.
I don't have any problem with boys doing the work, though. Anybody else?
No.
Have any comment on that?
Just check the other see if they'll go along with it.
If you hire it out, it's going to cost them a whole lot of money, and I don't see any advantage to that. We can provide the same service a lot cheaper.
Why couldn't we just move forward and approve that the village will provide the labor and they're responsible for cost of materials?
And if they're acceptable, we'll just do it then.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
Want to make a motion then?
I'll second it.
Okay, where are we? We're down there. So who wants to make the motion? To go ahead and...
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Trustee LeVar, second.
Yes.
Trustee Whitenack. Any discussion?
I mean, obviously, in my mind, if we have materials and they're just sitting there, we ought to be able to have a conversation with them as to whether or not it would make sense to provide those materials. Like you said, if you've got a grate sitting down there and it's going to sit down there for years and not be used, let's use it.
And the other thing is do we have to have, make some type of authorization for Scott to go on private property to do that? Do we have to make a motion or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I guess technically it is private, but it's also public service.
Well, the only thing is we talked about that in our committee meeting about doing that. And we talked about we're going to wait to do that tonight. I have no problem, whatever we have to do to get it done.
I mean, I think
as
if you
far
guys
as that's concerned.
have the resolution and authorize it. Like I say, it's ambulance company, it's not.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like it's
Hillside, yeah.
private company or firm. I mean, it's a non-profit organization that
Just wanna get
provides
jammed up.
services to the village.
My thing is just want to get jammed up from somebody saying that. We just want to get it.
Well, why don't we make a motion or amend the motion contingent upon a review by our attorney?
Okay.
I'll add that to the motion.
Okay.
Right. Contingent upon approval by the village attorney. Yeah, village employees on private property.
So, as long as we aren't violating any kind of law or anything there, then I think we can justify it. I think it would, in essence, although it's privately owned, it's, contracted with these people to provide a public service. What are they going to do if they didn't contract with them to go out of business? Okay, if there's no further discussion, and then I'll take the vote. Trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
Trustee LeVar?
Aye.
Trustee Whiteneck? You're doing all you Whiteman tonight. I'm been bound and determined to do that. Just slapping you all around, aren't I? My apologies there. And the mayor's an aye. So it's all ayes, 4-0. Okay, we'll look into that tomorrow. I can contact John. That's my deal for tomorrow, Megan. Action list.
Anything else? For the ambulance? Chief?
Let's see, well, the things on the list here are, we talked about court security last week. I don't know if anything's changed, but it was
You tell us.
go through it. And that speed indicator, I'm assuming if I recall, we're talking about that speed spy that basically gives us readings for speed and things of that nature.
Well, it's something, would tell somebody coming down Pine Street that they're going over speed limit of 30 miles an hour.
Or so you're looking for one of those digital...
Yeah, the thing that, it says speed limit, usually above it, and it says your speed underneath it.
Usually we get those flyers right left and sideways, and of course, since they want one, you don't get any, so I guess I'm going to have to actually ask for one.
Yeah.
Usually those companies send that mailings out all the time, and you're throwing away, and now that we want to see one, but the prices on those are, again, like between $1,000 and $3,000. So I'll call a couple of the radar companies.
I think people are doing better coming down the hill, but I'm not convinced that they're doing all that they should be doing.
Sure.
I think it's working.
Well, it's gotten better. It's certainly easier going up the hill.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you may hear rumors that, we've had a bit of a spat of windows knocked out on Main Street a couple windows at a Spurs building, that's where I got arrested. And I think that was a couple $100 worth of damage. A window got knocked out of the shenanigans, that was like $1,300 worth of damage, we really got arrested. And then the window
Did you
got
catch the
knocked-
person on that one?
On both roads so far, and then the
Okay.
window got knocked out of Sullivan's Insurance, and I think that was a couple $1,000, and that one got arrested as well, so. All angry women punching out the windows. We're 3 for 3 so far. So they only got arrested. So
I didn't know that. That is a surprise.
So,
Carol, don't get mad.
They also, I don't know if you're pays attention to the scanners or listens, but I think there's 3 drug recognition experts in the county. The sheriff's department's got one, I think the CPD's got one, and we've got Officer's Law. Drug drivers are becoming a ever more common issue. So that being the case, these drug recognition experts that have to be called out to do their evaluation before the arrest is made are all that more popular now. And Jeff being one, and being living the fact that he lives in Northern County, he gets grabbed pretty regularly. So we pay him, but the county's going to reimburse us the cost for that. So if you hear a rumor that we have a wise officer file doing a drug test for Geneseo PD or the sheriff's office or what have you, I authorize it and we get reimbursed his wages. So it's a good, it doesn't cost us anything, it's a good effort, coordination between the departments. And then police car, we're budgeted for a new car, of which the vast majority of that will be paid for DWI funding. Since they've changed the bidding process for state bid, it's a little bit more of a pain in the neck getting up to speed on a new process. But as I mentioned last week, Chief Osborne and Geneseo had done some homework on that, even though now he's not going to be able to participate in it on that style of car. He set some materials out, so now it's just a matter of me calling the folks that have these bids and verifying that we can ride in on the coattails of the folks that they've already authorized under those prices and bring those prices back to you folks and see if we're good to go. And hopefully have that by committee meeting. I would love to have it done tonight because that car, the car that's going to be replaced is in difficult shape, pieces of blown apart daily on it. But, so hopefully by committee meeting in August, I'll have those prices and we can make a decision on what we're doing.
Is that the one Shannon was jumping last week?
That's it.
Jumping or jumping on?
No, jumping the battery.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's over to the shop right now, getting some attention done to that. And as soon as that's back, the one I've got that I use regularly, that's going to go for brakes. And you find out when you got a guy that's got to go, that's going to get arrested, now you find out the back doors don't open. You know, so that's broken, so that's got to go over to get not only brakes, but somehow the back doors have got to be free. Kind of a difficult scenario when the guy doesn't want to go and now the back doors don't move. So, but no way to get in there. So hopefully have those prices by committee meeting in August, if not sooner. Other than that, there's plenty of business. Any other questions?
No, I'm just getting into trouble if I say anything more.
Quick question. We had talked about sending out notices at the committee meeting for the piles of brush in the community. I know you had a very lengthy email. Were the notices sent out, or did you just kind of go knock on doors, or what happened there, Charlie?
We send them out by mail. Our experience has been that you're asked to get far more complaints quickly with mail, trying to find people at home. I had a recent case with involving a child, and there was upwards of 15 people to talk to it. And those 15 people, I found over the course of 3 weeks, trying to locate people at home. The old 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job process just isn't the case anymore. And the weather, anybody's got soccer games and little league games, and no one's home and picnicking and vacationing. So we had an experiment here a few years ago where a trustee felt that we should do door-to-door visits, and I attempted to honor that particular trustee as he was one of the people that needed a notice. And I went to his house on 3 occasions and couldn't find him home, so finally I just mailed it, and he received it. So mailing is far more effective. And then in the event that we don't get compliance off the mailings, then we will go door-to-door and do it. Yeah, I sent out, I don't know, I think I just sent a dozen out. What's the date? So yesterday, I sent out a dozen yesterday. Okay, anything else? Thanks. Village court report, and I see we have one. They're going That's my report.
Annual audit update is a misprint, or I should say, a failure on my part to remove that. So let's draw that out, line it out. And the next budget, finance, and audit.
You don't want to talk about the quote we got from Freed Matzik?
Maybe that's what well, that was, that's what it is. Why did I put annual audit update? No, anyway, okay, yes, I do. I'm sorry, I apologize. That is correct. That should be there. It just struck me wrong when I looked at it. This has to do with the Bonadeo audits that we've been getting, or our annual audit that we've been getting, not the annual audit update. Or AUD, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah. Annual audit, annual update document, that's what it is. Okay, so we got the one from Bonadeo Group, which was $18,000, up 6,000 from the past several years. Well, not quite 8,000, 6,000 rather, but close to it. And we got another one from another company, which is at 12,000. I don't remember the name again. I didn't bring it down with me. Yeah.
Freed Matzik. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, but
That's
yeah.
correct.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's Freed.
Okay. They offered a 3-year discount
I did bring it.
if we committed to 3 years. The first year would be $12,000. Second year $12,250, and the third year $12,500.
You all should have gotten, I believe, a copy of that by email. But if you need a hard copy, let us know. We'll get you one. It's pretty thorough, I thought.
Yeah.
And the company is apparently over towards Buffalo more. But at least they're in the ballpark, and they've given us what we could expect price-wise. I don't know if you want to act on this yet. We've gotten no other. Who else did we contact?
The only other ones that I contacted were Baldwin's. Like I said, and they couldn't take us on later.
Did we get a hold of Wager?
I never reached out to anyone else.
I will try to get a hold of Wager and see if we can get one more quote on that. All we need are 2, but it would be nice to have 3. So I guess you could put me down on that list too. Or on the action item list for that.
And who was that?
Wager. They have done in the past anyway, a lot of school audits. And they actually they did the AUD back when I first came on board. That was Tom Lawler.
Yeah.
Nephew with Ed Lawler. So, call Mr. Wager's outfit.
And that's the only other quote. I know we had a few
Yeah.
that I had on the list of contacts. It will be just that one.
These people seem to be in the ballpark anyway, so it's And they've done quite a few villages, but not too many around here by the looks at Leroy. Just about the closest. I was going to say are further west. Okay. Any other conversation on that? I'll try to get another quote for us.
On the, I see the next item being DMACO payment issues. Any updates on that, Megan? I think you took action on that per our last conversation on it.
Yeah, I really don't have any updates. There's a couple of vouchers in the bills this month with recommendation for payment from MRB Group. We're still withholding the monies that the Department of Labor said I know is supposed to do so we're still withholding that.
Right. Okay, questions? Okay, wastewater treatment plant, capital project wood composting. MRB Group, engineering services, $20,016.50. DMACO, plumbing and heating, payment request number 14, $4,127.38. DMACO, plumbing and heating, payment request number 16, $2,689.36. Bernard Donegan Financial Services, $1,279.11. Lehigh Hanson Crusher Run, $6,958.95. John Vogel Legal Fees, $54. Blair Supply Air for Composting, $558.06. Lakeland's Concrete Products Test Block, $1,566. Perhaps before we move forward on that, what's a test block? Scott?
Those are the blocks that go inside of the compost facility that we actually had to purchase some additional ones for, like where the sludge comes out, to contain it. They put it in part of the project. So they're basically a cheap block. They're a concrete precast. We call them a junk block, basically. They're excess concrete. We get them out of Lakeland. They're pretty nice blocks. They're like a 10-foot block. The prices are in the bills. Maybe it's $100 or whatever. But if you guys are at the composting facility, walk inside, you'll see them set up inside.
Those are the ones loaded like a divider?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They're like a Lego block, basically. They stack on top of each other. Yeah. That's what those are.
Okay, thank you. Housing Rehab Grant, Toma Development Program Delivery, $12,428.39. Griffin Construction, Draw 9, 29 Mill Street, $10,500. Griffin Construction, Draw 9, 6 Health Street, $7,700. Cassidy and Underwood, Draw 9, 19 North Clinton Street, $1,000. Cassidy and Underwood, Draw 9, 25 Bank Street, $3,925. Cassidy and Underwood, Draw 9, 27 Jefferson Street, $24,400. Patrick McDonald Construction, Draw 9, 47 Health Street, $13,912. Move to pay the bills.
Okay, a motion by Trustee Labar to pay the special billings for the wastewater treatment plant capital project on the composting and the housing rehab grant. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Trustee Humphrey. Any discussion? Okay, Trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
Trustee Labar?
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
And then the mayor's an aye. Passes 4-0. Okay.
Under bills, general account, paid checks number 14665 and 14728 through 14744 in the amount of $63,420.09. Audited checks in the amount of $99,906.76. In the water account, paid checks number 587 through 593 in the amount of $21,532.53. Audited checks in the amount of $38,704.64. In the sewer account, paid checks number 530 through 536 in the amount of $7,867.33. Audited checks in the amount of $14,936.94. Motion to pay the bills.
Okay, we have a motion to pay the regular bills from trustee Labar. Do I have a second? Second from trustee Whitenack. Discussion? Okay, trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
Trustee Labar?
Aye.
Trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye.
Under band and bond payments due in August, EFC/MT admin fee for Mill Creek Dam, $104. Under MedX billing account payments, Livingston County EMS, July payment, $4,050. MedX invoice 2015 through 2017. 2015-7, in the amount of $1,820. Patient reimbursement, $752.
I
Bill-
don't mean to interrupt you.
Yes.
I have to recalculate the payment for us and the ambulance. I did a 50/50 split. I have to recalculate it. before you read it.
I'm afraid I didn't understand it.
I did a 50/50 split.
Okay.
The Village of Dansville, the Dansville ambulance, and it should be 60/40. I just noticed in this print.
Oh,
So I
okay.
have to fix those.
Still working on the old formula, huh?
Yeah, apparently I went back to it.
60-40 down there at the bottom, too. She did 50-50, should have been a 60-40. So, I don't really understand that, so.
I just wanted to say it before you.
Okay.
Good catch, I didn't catch that.
Are you calculating those amounts right now? Okay.
Okay, we'll wait till she has that.
Okay, so for the Village of Dansville, I have $3,096.67.
3,096.57?
67.
67, okay.
And then Dansville ambulance, I have 4,645.
In no sense?
In no sense.
Okay, so
Anything
just
else with that that they wanna-
just for confirmation, Megan, we got, was that 3,046?
3,096.
2009, I wrote 9 and said 4. 3,096 and 67 cents for June payment. Village of Dansville, this is under MedX billing account payments. And for the Dansville ambulance, for the June payment, $4,645. Move to approve band/bond payments due in August and MedX billing account payments.
A motion by trustee Labar to approve the band bond payments for August and the MedX billing account payments.
So move.
And a second from trustee Humphrey. Discussion? Trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
Trustee Labar?
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye. Looks like that. Public Works, Water and Sewer, Trustee Humphrey.
Okay. Moved down to the Water and Sewer Law Committee under the Public Works Streets. I don't know if that should be moved down.
Yeah, it should be. That's my error. Good catch.
The number, you gave me a number, and then Megan gave me a number, and I don't know what I did with the numbers, so I'll get with you guys a phone number on the two people that were interested.
Oh, okay.
I spoke with Rodney Johnson, because we thought it would be interesting to have someone else's input on the business district. He's on board with it.
Okay.
So we just got to get with those two people, Karen and Matt, to find out when's a good time to set up the meeting, so we're pretty much ready to go.
Good. Good. All right.
And then Scott, you're on the stage.
Sidewalk snow shoveling, I don't really.
We talked about that, the situation, the way it had gotten this past year in several locations where people not clearing the sidewalks, forcing people out into the streets, like down here on Main Street. Well, both two biggest ones were on Main Street. There's one over here by the old Owen property. You had to walk over the top of the snow drifts or out into the street. It's not a good idea in the winter. And then down by the old doctor's place there on Main Street, down towards his brother's place.
Oh, the OBGYN?
Yeah,
office.
well, no.
Dr. Brokey's old office?
Dr. Townsend's old office area. That was rarely, if ever, plowed. And even going into the apartments, which were occupied, if they didn't go by the back door, they weren't getting in the front door.
CVS all year was just ice. The whole winter was all ice. I don't think it was
I think the board needs to come up with a plan here, how we hold, what are we going to do about it? We can't afford to do it ourselves. And more people in the private sector have better equipment than we have when it comes to snow removal on sidewalks.
Most of the businesses have, third-party people coming out and doing their parking lots and stuff. That's why I was surprised with CVS. I didn't see anyone out there all year. Our guys were out doing the sidewalk, but then it would get iced over. And my opinion is the businesses that's responsibility.
Well, I think Dan is going to bring that up at our next chamber meeting about getting. I think probably all saw the email or something.
Right, we could talk about that. That's right.
Yeah, but it's not just in the downtown area and the business area. It's also in the private areas. So you got a lot of snowbirds. We plow their stuff all the time. No, I don't think we should. If you want a walkable community, and a lot of people need to walk, and they end up walking in the streets.
You see kids doing that in the wintertime. Down Main Street.
They shouldn't be out in the streets. It's dangerous. You get black ice or anything in there that's slick. It may look nice, but people come down at normal speed, you could end up having a fatality. I don't want something like that to happen on my shift. I just think that there's got to be a better way to maintain your own, sidewalks in the village. Besides the village having to hire something to go out there and build when too many of the sidewalks are already in horrible shape to begin with before you can get the snow on top. We've done a good job of fixing up a lot, but there's a lot that still need fixing.
A lot of rental properties,
Yeah.
the landlord.
Well, they should be responsible. I take care of mine. I don't know.
Well,
They
but
shouldn't
I
take
say,
care of theirs.
a lot of us put tenants in there and
Get-
take free will to.
Yeah, take the money and run, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, I just don't want to wait till it becomes a problem in the winter to have a plan. I think we need to have something before that we reach that point. I think we need to put our heads together. It's not just a simple, we'll make the property owners do it. There's got to be something that's thought out and is reasonable as well. And these little old ladies now aren't going to be able to do it.
I'd make my mother do it. I'm just kidding.
Thank you, Robin, for that editorial.
You're welcome. Anytime.
So, let's see if we can't put our heads together and come up with something by next month. Something that puts us in the ballpark. Now, if it means contacting some other communities, maybe we should see how they're doing it. I know Geneseo does it, but they've got a large college population, and they take care of the sidewalks because so many of the, youth out there, Walmart and everything, they walk out. So they take care of it, so they get from the college out to that location. But that's an economic, Benny, they derive from the college. We don't have that luxury right now. So, anyway.
The street paving, I really didn't redo the list. I just highlighted the ones that we've been talking about.
This is the last list, the latest list.
Yeah, it's basically just highlighted the three that I think that we ought to pursue now and get these three done.
Where does Knox fit into this equation?
Well, we'll just basically patch Knox when we do these three.
Okay.
Put some patches on it and get it so it's passable. Try not to spend a whole lot of money on it.
What are we going to do on Austin? And that's in horrible shape there at the lower
Well,
end.
Austin, we do have that proposal that we talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see a copy of that, Pete?
I don't think I saw that. I know we talked about it, having MRB was going to look at it.
Right, and they gave us a proposal of $6,700, I think.
Yeah.
I'll take it out. Yeah, and then Bruce was $1,400. I would like to pursue that we get that one ready to roll, and maybe we can pull that off this year if I can fit it into the budget.
Bruce was $1,400.
Right, and MRB was $6,700.
Yeah.
Is that doing anything to that sewer street extension?
Well, we have to just put the some
Millings down at this point.
for now.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll put a good coating on it.
right,
I'd like to do it all at the same time.
right,
I'd like
I
to,
agree. Yeah.
if we can't totally do Austin Street this year, maybe get the drainage in.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're going to do the street, we really should put that sewer line in,
Oh, yeah,
and water up
exactly.
there.
Yeah.
It's not a huge project, really. So something we can handle. So.
Well, it's Seward Street extension. We've also talked about water, sewer up there as well.
So this would get it up Austin,
Yep.
and then it would be all set to take it down Seward Street extension at a later date.
Okay.
We'd have everything right there. Do that, be like phase one.
Do
Get
that.
Austin Street taken care of. We put a spur heading up Seward Street extension.
Would that be a loop around, or is that dead
It would
end?
be tied, we tie it right back in on the other end.
Okay.
Yeah, right where Mark LaBelle's house was, right at the top, there's a hydrant line right there.
Okay.
Will you give us a cost estimate on that? Have you done that yet?
But I just received those from Blair. Actually, I have to take the time to open up the email to look, but I do have the cost on all the water line and sewer line and
For
storm
Austin.
for Austin.
Okay.
So, you got to start with the DEC and the health department, and that's approving basically MRB. We have money in the budget to do that part of it. Whether we can afford to do the rest of it remains to be seen. How many valves, and we have a lot of valves issues that we have to take care of. Franklin Street's one we talked about. There's another hydrant on Franklin Street, so we need to do a live valve insertion on Franklin to take care of that water issue on Franklin. And then the one up on Chestnut, that hydrant, the boys are still turning the valves up there. I know I'm going to have to put a couple up there, so there's a lot of money to be spent on valves this year. So that's going to kind of...
Valves for the fire hydrants, or valves for...
Well, the valves to
water
shut the
system?
water off so we put the hydrants in and
Okay.
fix those.
You're going to move forward and put those two up in the Chestnut area. Chestnut.
We are, but I've got them going out a little bit farther. I still want to see if we can shut it down.
Right, yeah. But for that diagram you gave us, you're going to...
Right. Oh, yes.
You're moving forward on there, right?
Yes, we are definitely. Yeah.
Right.
We're working on it today, actually.
Okay. How soon can you start paving?
I would like to probably...
Soon done with this.
Go ahead if you want to approve it. Go ahead. Take it.
Okay, just need a motion to go beyond 9 o'clock since it's 9:05.
Second.
Motion by trustee Humphrey and a second by trustee Whitenack. Just all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Continue on.
Dick puts an ad on, though, we can't go past 11, eh, Dick?
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
10:30.
We can start, Dick, probably, I would say within a week and a half. It depends how fast I get a mill to come in and mill it.
People are asking me out in the community when we're going to start, so that's why I'm asking.
Scott, the other thing, Dick, are you done? I'm sorry. Are you done?
Am I done?
Yeah.
Well, I'm done for now, yes.
Oh, I was just gonna
I'm
ask
done with
Scott.
that thought now. You
Okay.
come in with your thought.
On Liberty Street, you got the lower end, that was milling and paving, is that?
Yes.
Is
It,
there
it
any-
needs it needs drainage too. That's another whole issue. But if I can slice the dollar, that's a problem.
Any way of patching that and then just taking the rest of the money and putting it towards the next street? I don't know.
Patching lower,
Lower Liberty? Is that a way of doing it?
it's in pretty bad shape. The whole thing. If you really drive down and take a look, we talked about that one night of
I know.
doing sections.
Yeah.
It's your call, but at the end of the day, it looks pretty.
An intersection at Sophia definitely needs it.
Yeah, it's really
That's-
bad.
Yeah.
And then if you go on down farther, there's a
And I think the section between...
There's a couple small little sections that are not bad, but it's, when you're zipping down through there.
Maine to Elizabeth is bad. Where did you want to shift the...
I was just looking for something we could, if there's any way of cutting back on some of that we could put it into a fund for the Knox Street project, so we have a plan.
Well, that's why, basically, we're only going to do $100,000. We still have $100,000 that we'll have to decide on, basically, the next phase,
Yeah.
if you will.
That's
Get
like
these three
CHIPS,
streets done.
CHIPS money.
Pardon?
That was the CHIPS money.
With the chips and what's in the budget, there's a couple $100,000 to divvy up. But again, any of those streets on there, Austin, I would definitely like to hold off and see if we couldn't do the infrastructure work, do it right.
Right.
Because drainage is a huge issue on that street. And, but other than that, there's the list. You give me the marching orders, it doesn't matter to me.
Those are the three that we talked about.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
What's your voice go?
Well, I was working hard at the radio station every day.
You're talking fine
That's what it
upstairs.
is. It comes and goes. Oh, I thought I saw a hand going out.
Well, from the house, from a public safety standpoint, the two streets that are most obvious to us is Liberty and North Clinton. They both look like they've been bombed around town.
In North Clinton, I remember we're driving down that was pretty.
That is rough street. That's bad.
Those are the two that, being out every day on the streets, that those are the ones I recognize, and the guys mentioned that are very pitted from spring to stern.
Okay.
I mean, are we in agreement to move forward on the three that are highlighted here and commit to that right now? I am.
Yeah.
I have no problem with it.
And I'll reiterate what I said at the committee meeting. I support the need to set aside money to do Knox Street, but yet there's a lot of work to do. So I'm kind of right in the middle there, I think, we've got the CHIPS money and we got the money that's been budgeted to do the paving, and we're going to have some reserve fund money, fund balance available to us hopefully at the end of the fiscal year, and we could start to earmark some of that money for the major capital projects. At least that's my position. I'm in favor of setting aside money because, there are streets, definitely in Knox is going to be right there at the top of the list, that need to be done and be done right. But not at the expense of letting the other streets go. I would like to say that we commit to doing these three. And I think what I heard you say previously, Scott, is that these three is enough to justify, I'm not sure if that's the right word or not, the bringing in the equipment.
Bringing in a mill, I hope I can do those three in a day.
Right.
And
that's sufficient to get the equipment here and then have it move out to maybe we do another block.
And also
I think,
take care of Knox now and give it,
right.
patch on that. Because I need a paver to do that.
Okay. So we want to go ahead and vote on that?
Well, if it requires a vote, I'll make the motion. We move forward on the three streets that are highlighted.
Okay.
North Clinton from Maury Ave to Livingston Boulevard, Liberty Street lower, which I think we say that's from Elizabeth to Cottage.
Yes.
And the same on Leonard Street, right?
Yes.
So I'll make a motion that we approve moving forward with repaving. Is that the correct term?
Mill and fill.
Mill and fill on those three streets.
And a motion from Trustee Labar to mill and fill North Clinton, Liberty Street, and Leonard. I have a second from Trustee Whitenack. Discussion? Trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
Trustee Labar?
Aye.
Trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye. Motion passes 4-0. Okay, and while we're talking streets, Scott, I got a phone call I have not responded to yet, but if you would take a look at it, down on Fulton Street, there's still that dirt pole down there.
Fulton Street.
Yeah, near the park.
Okay.
On the street, I think it's corner of...
Oh, that patch, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And another complaint from down there, if we could get that fixed.
I actually thought we had these streets done by now, and that was part of the deal.
If you would
use some
just
black
check
cotton.
with the young lady, I can give you the phone number tomorrow.
Nah, we'll
Who's
just
constantly-
we'll put some.
So she knows it's getting done.
Okay.
I know it's been a while since she last called, so we probably should at least touch base with her and let her know if not actually be down to do something.
Just why don't you email me your phone number?
Yeah. Well, I can see it tomorrow morning.
Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Nope, good.
The retaining wall, I did receive that second estimate, and it was...
You have a copy of that so I can present it to the church?
Did I print it in last week?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. Thought I left you a copy. But, basically, it was like $30,000.
It's in the email.
It's an email?
Is that what I
Okay.
did email to you?
I have to check it.
And I backed out. They put some. They added some cost in that should not have been in their quote, but it was around $23,000 is what their quote was. Which
So right now,
Caldwell's
Pat's looking like the best
was
deal.
12, I believe.
Yeah.
12.
12 or 12.5, something.
Right. And so, again, it's really an unbudgeted item, so I guess it would depend on the church whether they want to go ahead with it. Because without the church, it's dead in the water, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yeah, I agree.
You guys
At least,
might look at it.
at this point. Okay, thank you.
My feeling on it is unless the church is going to pay for it, then we wait until next year.
Yeah, that's what it'll have to be. But get all of them together over there and talk to them about it.
Scott, the other thing was the Perkinsville Wells update. We just kind of skipped over that.
Yes, I met with NICEC last week. They want to basically, the original plan was to put a new service into the building. After she came up and looked at it, she wants to basically move the cans. There's a pole in close to the wells. She wants to take and move the cans back out by the road so they can service them from the road, which would require us to run an underground servicing, which I have no problem with. It's probably the right thing to do. That would drop it down to a 200 amp service instead of a 400 that's there now. The problem with the 400 is the health department wants a backup generator. So to buy a 400 amp transfer switch, very expensive. So that's why they were dropping the service size down to 200. So I think the way we ought to pursue at this point is to go ahead and get the service in, okay? I could probably do that right out of the budget without any problem. Get that in, and then there's still some options on the table, and then come back to you guys. I mean, at the end of the day, we're still going to spend $25,000 to $30,000. We know that. By the time we buy all the equipment and install it, we can do most of it ourselves, which will save some money. Have to have a little help. I always like to have an outside electrical contractor basically sign off on everything
Right.
instead of the building. I think it's good for liability purposes.
Sure.
But we can do all the digging, we can install the conduits, pull the wire, all the hard stuff. So that will save quite a bit of money.
I've got a question. Do we have to go through the code officer out in Wayland to do that?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Shouldn't be in D'Angelo either. Electrical inspectors do their job.
Yeah, but I mean, any work we do up there, is there going to be a need for a code officer?
No, not for that. Not for electrical upgrades.
Okay.
So then you want to wait and talk to the... You're going to wait and talk to the church then, as I take it on that.
Scott, that didn't actually cross the street in front of the fire department property either, was it? So we talked about maybe getting a price for that one over across the street.
You're talking the steps?
Hook and ladders, yeah, the steps.
That's part of Pat's price, was to do all that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was $12,000 for all his labor and everything else. And we just provided the materials. But it also included that side of the street.
Was that Pat?
Yes. Both of them, actually, in Genesee. Their estimate was their $30,000.
Yeah, it was 30.
Did both sides, right. But again, I just found it's like $23,000 if you back out the items that they bid I told them not to bid. I just wanted labor costs, basically.
Okay.
We provide all the materials. It would be nice to see that done. And a lot of radar for a lot of years. I remember Bill Dixon talking about it way back, But there it says.
Yeah, I pushed for that several years ago.
I got a call tonight, actually, when I was pulling in. Remember, Pete, in that meeting we talked about the builder's risk? Danny called me tonight. We've invested about $25,000 into the builder's risk. So what we can do, if we would like to, or if you guys would like to, is we can put that into the project. There was do you remember, Megan, it was like $57,000, I think, on that line item for builder's risk? It was in the project. We paid for it out of our coffers. So it's up to you guys. Do we want to take that 25 and submit that to ESC and put it on the project, or just let it lie? It's paid. I mean, either way, we're going to pay for it one way or the other, but it was part of the project that didn't get put into the project. I mean, probably should be in the project.
Yeah, right.
Should have been.
Yeah.
And he'll write up like an invoice to show EFC what we paid over the date. He's already done that. So if you want to move forward, I'll call him and have him submit that to Megan, and she can submit it next month. If you guys want.
Reimburse the general for
Water
water
and sewer.
and sewer rate.
Okay.
Yeah. This will be sewer mostly.
Okay, take care of that. I did just get an email from Clem on the NYSERDA grant. I need glasses, so bear with me. It says, basically, if I sign this document, pretty much says, as a requirement of the Industrial and Process Efficiency Program Post-Installation Report, PIR, is the documentation of costs incurred installing the above project. In order to be eligible for the incentive of $119,621.35, the customer must have incurred at least $239,242.70 of cost for the project. Well, we're
A little bit over that.
More than a wee bit.
So basically, at this point, he sent it, he wants me to sign it and sign it back. Anybody have an objection to that? We'll get all of our $119,000.
Let's go get it.
So that'll end the
I
NYSERDA.
think that's a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'll sign that and send it back. So I'll take care of that. The only other thing that I have, we talked about the chipper. I would like to, that's part of the, it's in our composting 50-50 match. I had that on here too. It was $47,000 is what we are approved for. The one chipper was $44,000, and actually tomorrow I've got a guy coming from another manufacturer.
That's something you gave us previously.
Yeah. Oh, this is a 12-inch. This is a smaller one.
We're moving up in the road then, right?
Well, we talked about that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. We want to get what'll do the job. I understand that.
And actually, the bigger one is what we want. We want to basically grind up the bigger trees. We need the chips bad. We're going to be. I wish the chipper was here today. Actually.
Is there any way we can do anything with rovers out here?
No, they grind theirs up. It's a sawmill, so when it comes out, it's basically sawdust, if you will.
Yeah.
It's too fine. I
see a bunch of chips there on the
and they sell everything.
Oh, okay. I didn't know, but I went past it the other day. I thought,
Yeah, I've already been there.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah, no problem.
No. So I would like the board to just make a motion to approve the 40. That I can't exceed the 47. I have an estimate of 44. I would like to go over that, make sure that it's got everything that I want with another competitor, which is coming tomorrow. So we'll go through it, line by line,
We
make
have
sure.
50% reimbursement on it, right?
It's 50% reimbursement.
Right.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
I'd like to move the chipper.
I have a motion from trustee Whitenack to approve the chipper. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
I have a second. Discussion.
I'd like to table it until we can get everything, all the finances and stuff from whoever, vendors, I guess, if you want to call them, whatever.
Well, I've done that, Rob, and I'm down to that. I've submitted 4 different quotes, so I'm down to the one. I just want, it's at $44,000 is the one quote. If I want to add a, whatever, I think there's a winch maybe that needs to be added so you can haul the logs in, not to exceed the 47. So basically it's a $3,000 window. It takes quite a while to get these in. They don't just have them on the shelf.
Right.
And we have a lot of chipping to do. Actually, I've got to have Farrell go up to the dam. There's 4 trees that have to be taken down. There's the payment for a chipper for a year right there. Just one day, what I'm going to pay him. This is a 50% matching grant. And
If I'm reading this also, Scott, the one quote that we got, there was a customer discount of 15%. So if we're talking the same thing here, the price of $44,000 actually is a discounted. The original price was over $51, and there's a discount of over $7,700.
that's through that NJPA.
Yeah, is that the one we're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So actually, it's a $50,000+ that's been discounted 50 or 15%, and then we'll get 50% reimbursement. So it'd be $22,000 to us.
Right.
And that money's coming out of where?
That was in the package that Scott handed out at the last meeting.
I can show you. Let me just pull it up. I had it here just a minute ago. It was.
That's coming. That's part of the project.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, is what part?
Yeah, it's all part of the project. It's
Part
all.
of
The wastewater treatment is coming out of the budget.
All right.
But you would like to pay for that.
So basically, we're getting.
But you would like to pay for that.
We're getting about a almost $52,000 chipper for $22,000, right?
Exactly.
I just didn't know where the 22 was coming. I thought it was coming out of the budget.
No.
No.
The water, if that's the case.
Yeah.
That was one of the things, one of the pieces of equipment they approved. Yes, you approved.
And that can be used out on the streets too.
Yeah.
It's not something that has to be designated specifically.
No, because that's where we get the chips from. That's the beauty of it.
Just take them out, cut down trees and throw them in. Not as much as we can.
And that brings up a question. We put quite a lengthy run of sidewalk on Bank Street today, and one of the neighbors asked if they could pile the tree out front. If we have the chipper, and the guy's cutting it down in his yard, if he drags it to the road, I'd say we're okay to grind it up, as long as we're not on private property. You guys agree with that?
Yeah, that's your call.
Because basically, he wanted to, it was a couple $100 to have Green's Tree Service grind it, okay? So he didn't want to pay the $200, he wanted to stack it in the street, which I disagree with. If I have a chipper, I don't have a problem sending a couple guys, we need the chips, you know,
Yeah.
I can, but I had the same issue down with that tree that came down on Maury. You see where they're piling everything up.
That's on private property.
So, there you go again. What are we gonna do with that issue? I mean, that's a huge tree.
Well, is the guy doing it himself, or is he having it done commercially?
I don't know.
Commercially, they
I think there's somebody that's chewing on it.
No, I think he's doing it himself. I saw him out there with a saw the other day, but
got one work ahead of him.
there was a couple of guys. I can't think of his name. He was out there with another guy, but I didn't see.
Yeah, that's right across from you.
Yeah, I didn't see any.
He made some nice little piles down.
Oh yeah, he made little piles. So.
What is storm damage? And we've said the storm damage they could put out on the side of the street. So if he wants to do it, I'd have him coordinate it with you though.
Well, yeah, definitely. Well, like I say, he's doing a very nice job of stacking it on the side of the road.
Will those chips be usable, or whatever?
The stuff that he's stacking is just a small brush, which I don't have a chipper anyway, so
So stuff like that, small things like they would have to be taken to the landfill.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you just for your, because you haven't seen any of this around, there's all the equipment, and then there's your mouse, like there's the chipper at 47, just so you can see it. Oh, the only other one is I would like to get approved as part of the project, it's approved by PFC, is that zero-turn lawnmower, so I can get that, so the water and sewer guys can mow their property. And I did turn it was $7,600, I believe, for that zero-turn.
That's going to be basically used where?
At the sewer plant only.
At sewer plant?
They got plenty of mowing for themselves. When I get done, there's a lot of grass.
So I guess my question, do you need something with that big of a mower on it to do down the sewer plant?
Well, that's not really that big of a mower. It's only, I think it's a 54-inch docket, so it's only
61-inch.
Okay, you're right. It is on that. Yeah. But that's, if you go down and look at the size of the yard they got to mow,
No, I haven't.
There's a lot of area to mow. A lot of area. It's the same zero that we have at the shop. It's identical. I just do that so all the filters fit and everything's the same blades.
Can you, for me, Scott, select the one here out of what you provided to us that you'd like to purchase, so I know exactly which one it is?
Yep.
So we haven't acted on the chipper yet, have we?
No.
Oh, you didn't go, I'm sorry.
Getting on to the mower. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the chipper before we get to the mower here? Okay, Trustee Whitenack.
Aye.
Trustee LeVar.
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey.
Aye.
The mayor's an aye. Now,
May I make a comment for the record?
Sure.
I'd like to indicate that the motor that, or the chipper that we just voted on for documentation is model 1390XP, 15-inch drum style brushed bandit. Thank you.
And that actually is the model that I put in originally. It's just shook out that way. 4 bids, and that's the one that was the lowest. The other ones, they were all in the low 50s for the record.
Okay, what about this?
Move to purchase the zero-turn mower.
I have a motion from trustee Whitenack to purchase the zero-turn mower. Do I have a second? I'll make the second just so we can get it on the table. Okay, discussion.
Will this mower be used anyplace else other than down there?
Nope.
Could it be used anyplace else?
I'm not saying it couldn't be, but
Yeah, technically it could be.
It's part of the sewer plant. It should be used at the sewer plant.
That should be the primary purpose of it, yes.
Okay. I'm trying to get as much information.
No,
I'm not.
if something came up and we had to do other mowing, we didn't have enough equipment, we could certainly pull that
If
out.
something broke down, it's a nice backup. I mean, yes, you
Yeah.
could, definitely.
Nothing to prevent us from doing that.
Because when Walt retires, that's one tractor that we probably will put back to the plant. For the guys up there, that's where it came from, basically, if you will. And we'll probably have to purchase another zero-turn to replace that tractor. But we'll do that in next year's budget. Because the highway guys are going to need a couple of zero-turns to mow with, there's no doubt. I mean, now I have a zero-turn in the big John Deere that Walt left, so there's 2
Right.
mowing all the time.
Okay.
And so budgeted item.
It's a budget, right?
Yep.
It's actually, the zero-turn's been in the last couple of years, and
Yep.
we just haven't acted on it, so that money's been rolling over, basically, if you will.
Okay, and that's coming out of the
Project.
project as well.
Exactly. Not a 50% grant. No 50%, it's part of the project.
Yes.
The 0%.
0%. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
What was that, Jack? I'm
The
sorry.
mower is coming out of the project?
The mower is out of the project. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, trustee Whitenack?
Aye.
Trustee Labar?
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
Mayor's an aye. Okay. We're now down to Parks and Recreation. Trustee Rittenhouse is not here, but the item is mine anyway. The Park and Recreation Committee update. I now have 3 people for the committee. We have Mike Blum. We have Dan Foltz, who actually lives in the town of North Dansville. And we have, got her first name, last name's Walker. She lives up on Valley Road in Oshid. But at this point, and Dan said he would ask some of the people that were helping him with the trees around the woods if any of them would be interested.
I'm glad to help.
Okay. So this will be a committee that will basically help give the board some direction and stuff. So I think we may be good to go on that committee. Unless somebody objects to out-of-village people being on the committee. They have no authority other than make recommendations. So. But if people are going to help, why not? So we'll contact them and.
Charlie, you're not interested? I saw him the other morning. He was out with his clipboard and stuff looking at the planner, so I figured maybe he would be more the merrier.
Okay, and in your packets, I gave you a hard copy. This is going down to technology now on the codification. That's general code out of Rochester. I think they're actually sort of like Gates or Chili somewhere over that way. And so you can digest that a little bit. I don't know if we need to vote on it tonight, but especially we need to take a look and see what our numbers are for how we want to divvy up any fund balance, if that's what we want to do. Sort of put this at the priority, the technology stuff, but now we need to make a determination whether or not we want to spend any of the fund balance. on technology. So,
What was the quote for, Pete?
pardon me?
Did they come back with, what was the quote?
Yeah, the quote was a substantial amount of money.
I haven't went through there.
It's, find it here. What is it? They gave us a lot of stuff. That's all formatting and all that.
11.7.
11 cents, sounds right. Plus, I think there's like another $1,500 if we wanted the premium maintenance package or something like that. And there's some other things, but this is the nice thing. If you read this, this has that E360 program, and that's what most villages and towns in this area use to put it on the website.
Yeah, we need it badly.
It'll take a while for them to go through the process. You're probably looking at a year. And there's also a payment plan. We don't have to pay it all at one time. So I think there's a 3-year payment plan in it. So take a good look at that, and then we'll talk about it next month.
It's a 3-year payment plan. That was
I think it was 3 years.
out of the regular budget, not get into fund balance. Let's leave fund balance alone.
Well, we may be able to do that, but we'll take a look at it. Like I say, it's a long process. Okay. And the last item I have is on the docket. At the very end is the update on the lighting for Highland Avenue. We approved adding 2 lights. Dennis Mass, Supervisor Mass, came to me and said, we've been paying the bill on electricity out there.
So we can add mine to theirs then?
I'm just throwing that out for information right now. I got to do a little more talking with Dennis to see if they're accepting it too, or if they're going to continue to pay for it, or what. Have any lights been requested to go up?
No.
Okay, well, we need to address that issue with the town. I wish we'd known sooner.
Yeah. Well, kept secret.
Well, 2 former town councilmen are on this board. Why didn't they know? I got somebody I can blame it on.
Where's Dan when you need him?
See what's going to happen?
And you know what, Bill? We got a lot of company.
Anyway, that's no action required on that. That was just to bring you up to date on the latest I've heard on that. I think, if I remember, did Dan tell me before I went on vacation or last week? Everything's just running together anymore. So with that, does anybody have anything to add to unfinished business or to new business that hasn't been brought up? 'Cause I can't think of anything, which is almost unheard of.
I got an action item, but it's an action item for Dan, and me have already done something with it. He agreed at last meeting to follow up on the lighting and with the softball group, and just put an email out to him and see if he's done anything with that.
Followed up with that, and Julie brought in a check today.
Oh, wow, nice. Look at that.
Action item complete.
Check it off, it's done.
Ask and thou shalt receive, I guess.
So we don't need Dan anymore, right? Thank you, Magnus, for doing that.
I'll get it to you tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, I'll be up tomorrow sometime.
Oh, okay, I'll let you know.
Okay, if there's no new business or unfinished business to go over, let's go. What do you have down for action items?
Okay. For myself, I have the lot boundary update, the Conrad property, for Mayor Bowe.
I need to talk to John about the reviewing, what was that?
On the ambulance company property for the grate there.
Yeah.
So we'll do that, and then I wasn't sure if it was mine or yours, to get a quote from Whiter for the office.
I was going to do that.
Okay.
I don't forget.
Yeah, That's it. That's all I have.
Anybody have anything else?
I'm not sure, but because Tammy wasn't here, she ought to be made aware she should follow up on 48 Leonard, and he's going to look into whether or not there's any liens against the property. And again, I think touch bases with the owner to confirm that he's still willing to gift that or turn it over to the village.
In writing.
Yeah, we'll need to get to that point, yep.
Then eventually we'll have to do a walkthrough or whatever to
Yeah,
get that
and
far.
perhaps, I don't know if she has a key, she might, or be able to obtain a key such that we can do a walkthrough.
If somebody take a look, especially at the furnace unit, all those old furnaces, a lot of
Siding, roofing.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, gentlemen? Public comments. Yeah. Oh, someone beat you to the draw. Okay.
I have a few. I wanted to have some background information on that housing rehab public hearing that you're going to have next month. Do you have any information you can give me on that housing rehab?
I can get you some if you want to. In fact, if you want to stop by the office one day this week, I can. Thursday's probably not a good day, but the rest of tomorrow afternoon or Friday,
Okay.
I can give you some information on that.
All right.
Okay.
And,
Otherwise, I won't be pulling it out of my back pocket
All right.
like I would be tonight if I tried to answer your questions. It's better to have the information correct.
Yeah, that's true. And you were talking about the need at the Dansville ambulance. What exactly is the problem there?
They have a drainage catch basin that's deteriorating
Oh,
and just needs to be replaced. And they've asked if we could do it. We have to check with the lawyer to make sure that we can go on that property, because generally speaking, we can't go on private property unless we're going to, you have an easement or something to go through someone's property to do some work on public property. But so we got to be careful about that. But if we can do it, it seemed to me, but that's just me speaking, we ought to be able to do it, since it's really a public entity, but it's more like a charitable organization that does business with us. So, and we pay for their equipment down there. So it's a fine line. We got to figure out, make sure we're not doing anything illegal.
yeah, make sure everything's good.
Yep.
Okay.
Bill, I know you've got something.
Yeah, she brought up a good point. Number one, Keith Petty proved that the village does work on private property.
I'm not saying we don't work on private or haven't.
Okay. And Tom Moran did not bring charges up on him because the village supplied pictures of the village workers doing work on private property. So as far as you going on private property, you can go on private property ever since Keith. Number two, why don't we just take and put a water tower up on the railroad bed, pump from our storage tank up there, fill that up, and then you'll have your water up here to supply the whole town and no pumps. Just have the pump from the one spot up to that.
That'd be awful expensive, Bill, for one house, because that's the only house that gets pumped, one.
No, in the future, you're going to be taking and going up that side of that.
Right now, we're trying to keep the water and sewer rates low.
I know, but
Yeah,
It's a good thought.
It's a good thought. You're thinking. What else we got for you?
48 Leonard, is that in the flood zone?
No.
Hope it's going to wash it away.
I wondered how come a bank just...
Absolutely, that was
You know
my
where Mr.
reaction.
You know where Mr. Basker used to live?
Frank?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's the house behind his house.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you're going uphill.
Yeah?
So he's-
The fire department is going to get $180-some thousand to buy equipment, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, in the past, we've had police officers go into a situation without a Scott Air pack, which, in my estimation, and all the people that I worked with in safety and fire protection in Rochester, says that every fire company should supply our police cars with Scott Air packs. That way there, when they're on this highway, because there's a lot of trucks on this highway that has super problems with chemicals, right? Our police officers should be protected at least that much. So could it be possible that we could take and have our police officers have one in their trunk like they do in a lot of parts of Rochester?
It's certainly worth looking at. Right now, though, I don't know if we can take money from the fire department for fire purposes and give it to another department.
And I think there's a certification.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. But the thing is, how hard is it to replace our police officers? Right now,
Not arguing your point, that's for sure.
So whatever hurdles we have to take and jump, let's do it to take and protect them. Thank you.
Okay. If there is nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. I would ask that, Robin's already got a copy, but if Dick and Dick would like to come upstairs, I got some information for you. It's some background information on some stuff. Just like to give it to you. So, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Trustee Humphrey and a second from Trustee Whitenack. All in favor?
Aye.
We're out of here.
As Grayson would say, that's what I'm talking about, baby.
What did you say?
She say,
If you could say it.
that's what I'm talking about, baby.
How old is he?
3. He's been saying that since he's...
Who taught him that?
You know.